Oh, welcome to a very sharp, a very special, a very sharp, special, sharp way. I picked all the adjectives. So yes, all of the adjectives are here this evening. We have a very special debate night. Ooh, look at that. Very rare to have these president debate nights. And in reality, usually, those of you who know, generally speaking, when debate nights pop up, what I do is I watch them and I live tweet them. That's what I usually do. And often I have people around me, but in this specific case, my kids aren't here. So it's just me. And my team isn't bugging me. They're like, hey, why don't you do it live once? So I said, all right, fine. I was planning on doing a 7 p.m. regular show, doing it for like an hour and a half, like I often do, and then just going off and watching the debate and live tweeting the debate, blah, blah, blah. Maybe later on doing a, usually I'll do a review of the debate afterwards. You guys know I do my little thing. We joke, go back and forth. And a debate that's going to be 2 hours is a 4-hour show. But that's okay. I've done that before. This time I said, let me try to do it just live with everybody else, right? Let me try to do it if I can. I may pause it here or there, which may slow it down a little bit, but I'm not going to be nuts. I will not be nuts. It won't be that behind. So we'll see if this is going to be interesting. I think it will be. But the piece I want to bring up now, though, is I want us to go back and forth, which is important. But I want to ask a couple of questions of what you guys think. The part that I wanted to bring up here is if I am, right, if what would I do? What would I say? How would I help either of these people if I was coaching them? Clearly, I'm not a consultant for either of them, but I absolutely would if I could. If they would give me a shot, I probably would. Just saying. So, all right. First thing I talk about if I was Donald Trump is to stay on what was better before and what's better now and why she hasn't fixed it. If he can stay on that no matter what, I really think he can just devastate her. That's my issue. If he can just say, okay, but it's better. It was better when I was president. Why didn't you fix it? In whatever way, shape, or form, that is what I will be focusing every single pivot on. It was better when I was president. Why didn't you fix it? Why didn't you fix it? It was better when I was, why didn't you that right? Her defense might be something like, well, I'm the vice president. Okay, great. So you have no influence over the president. So you have no influence. You're supposed to be a president who has influence. I would push that piece, a lot. Next piece. If I'm Harris, I'm going to have, remember, Harris is a prosecutor. And people will say, you hear it all the time on the pundits say, she's a great debater. She's a prosecutor. That's a bunch of garbage. Prosecutors are not great debaters. I don't know if any of you have been in a jury before or been in courtroom. I have been on both. I've been a consultant, as you guys know, in criminal cases. And I've also been a juror twice. Prosecutors, everything is written down for them. Again, if you've been in a jury, you know this. Literally, they have a full PowerPoint presentation that they will often read from. So you go into the courtroom and there's literally a screen or big screens, sometimes multiple screens, and they show on the screen and they will read from the screen sometimes. They've got all their stuff right there so they can see it and read it. And no one can stop them. They're a prosecutor. No one interrupts them. They can't do that. So the prosecutor keeps, if you try to interrupt a prosecutor more than once, you will watch that judge punish you. And now you look bad in front of a jury. So they just say stuff and they just keep going. They read off their thing and it's all pre-planned. If I'm supporting Harris, I will have her go through 2 or 3 of those. And stories that get her to Trump's a bad guy. Stories that get her to Trump's a bad guy. I think that, and then there was some of you who like Trump, be like, what? That's the answer. If you want, it's got to get to Trump's a bad guy and I will beat you. I'll beat him. Trump's a bad guy and I will beat him. Very similar to what Biden did. Similar. This election is not about turning people who are in the middle. This election is about turnout. You want if you're Harris, you want Democrats to get out right away. So you make that happen. Now you make that happen. You can win. All right, let me grab a couple comments. You guys are already commenting. I love this. I got more. This is gonna be a good night. This is pregame. Okay, we're good. Joel says Harris gets angry. I hope she loses it. You're right, and that's my point. Harris is unaccustomed to being an underdog. She's unaccustomed to having to fight back like that. Excuse me. As they say, oh, well, she's a good debater. No, she's good when you're the prosecutor and no one can stop you, say whatever you want. Then she's good. But otherwise, she won't be. So she does get angry. That's true. Now, again, if I was supporting her, I'd be like, stay on target no matter what he says. I don't know if you noticed, but they wanted the mics to be shut off, right? That they wanted the mics to be shut off. Trump did. And then she was like, no, leave the mics on when we're talking. Why? Because she thinks that she can get under Trump's skin. Because to be forward, Joel, Trump gets angry too. Both of these people have egos and big egos. So they both get angry. The difference is Trump has been getting attacked like this for years. He's better at responding than she is. And this is the next piece I want to bring up. Expectation. If Trump gets aggressive, well, yeah, that's who he is. Everyone expects that, right? Does that make sense? So if he's just not crazy aggressive, people go, oh, well, yeah, he didn't call her a name. Yeah, well, it's great. She can't do that. And it's not fair, but it's expectations. It's how it works. So it's a very valid point, Joel. I'm glad you brought that up. This piece is important. So Michael says word soup versus words. I guess that's salad. Word soup versus word salad death match. Yeah, that's kind of true. Yes, I think both of those are true. But the other question is, though, how will you look? This will be partially a vibes, piece. Did it seem cool or any of those? So Libertarian Griffith says, yeah, I totally expect not one question about the national debt. All right. So will anybody bring up the debt? How about that, Libertarian Griffith? Do you think anybody will bring up the debt? I think they might. I think there's a chance that somebody bring it up and say, all the money he spent or the money Biden spent or all the debt we had, we can't pay the debt to China. So my gut says if anyone brings up, I'm going to write this down. If anyone brings up debt, it will be Trump. If they do, it'll be Trump if someone brings the debt up. I don't think the ABC people bring it up because they don't care about the debt. So I don't think they'll bring it up at all. I think there's no way they'll bring it up. Kevin says, so the mics won't be muted. Hopefully this won't be like the first 2020 general election debate. Yes, they will. The mics will be muted in between, and there's no audience. I don't like debates like this, to be forward. I like debates when there's an audience and when you can go back and forth because that's life, right? You guys, for those of you who watch me campaign, I campaign just like this, live with a live audience, no notes. People get mad at me. People say things, whatever. It's how it works. And I'm not mad at it. It's how it works. I'm not mad at it. I think it's the best way of doing things. So anyway, the mics will be muted. So they will, unless they're going to yell across, you're a dummy. Or if they yell across, I guess they could. So yeah. Hold on. So Christy says, I heard that Trump donated money to Harris back in 2011. Oh, that would be great. Could you imagine if he didn't, he brings it up? That's great. I like that. That's not bad. That's not bad. All right. Pink Up brings up abortion. They got to bring it up, right? Don't they have to? I mean, okay. Do you think, okay, let me ask this question, Pink Up. Here's the question. Abortion has to come up. I mean, it's at least half of the Democrats, fight, right? He's going to ban abortion across the world, right? So obviously that's got to come up, right? It has to. So now the question becomes, who brings it up first? Is there a question about it up front and they have to talk about it? Or does one of them bring it up first in an attempt to either take control or to attack the other? That's the question. Does that mean, in other words, do they talk about, what's your plan or whatever, or your opening statement or whatever, and then Harris comes out and goes, he's going to ban abortion or whatever? Is that what happens? Or does Trump bring it up in defense? Look, I know they're going to say this, but it's not true. If it were me, if I had an opening statement, Here's the thing about, I'm gonna give you guys a bit inside baseball. A lot of times they don't give opening statements. I think it's a terrible idea. I always want to give an opening statement whenever I can. Why? Because a good opening statement can defend yourself against the BS. If there's an opening statement and I'm coaching or training or consulting with Trump, I have him bring it up right up front. I have him bring it up right up front. I literally would start with, morning, everybody, whatever, good afternoon, evening, whatever your thing is, and say, look, my opponent's going to say a lot of things about me. That's how it started. She's going to say a lot of stuff. She's going to talk about this, that, this, and she's going to say abortion and say, I have already said blah, 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 and give your position immediately. And when you hear this style of opening statement, for those of you who do debates, a good style of opening statement is you tell the person what to think when the person brings up the key word. And if the key word is there and they use it, then either have to stop using the key word or you every time they use it. So I'll give you an example of something about. If I'm telling him, I would say women's right to choose. What I would then say is every time you hear women's rights or women's rights to choose, you should recognize that's her trying to scare you. That's it. Every time she brings it up, I would say this in my opening statement. Every time she brings that up, you should think she's trying to scare you because you know it's not real. I would actually say that in my opening statement. And then whenever she brings it up, go, see? I would literally yell, see? Every time she brings it up, I've just neutered her every time. Boom, gone. Boom, gone. Boom, gone. That's how you trash someone in a debate like that. That's why I often win debates, right? So that's how you train someone to stop it. If you know what they're going to use, have them do that. Now, if her people are savvy, they would have a counter to that, right? They would have a counter to that. So that would be the issue. So I hope that answers your question. That's how you would actually handle something like that in an opening statement, right? I would also bring it up if I was with her or Harris, same thing. I'd have whatever I think he's going to use. And that's how you destroy an opening statement. Most people instead use an opening statement to do something like, let me tell you how awesome I am. Oh, thank you. No. I'm going to protect myself against whatever they attack me on. I'm going to bring it up and put a post of my suggestion in the mind of my audience immediately. That's the key piece. So I hope that answered your question right there. So let me keep going here. So many of these comments, I appreciate it. So, all righty. Let's see here. Colidi says, I hope Larry is wearing his leisure suit for this special occasion. Leisure suit Larry, by the way, was a video game from many years ago. And he wore his name was Leisure Suit Larry, and he wore a lime green leisure suit with the wide collars. This is true. Colidi knows this. This is actually true. So no, I wear my uniform basically every day. So yes, it's the same thing. There we go. So thank you for that anyway. All righty. Shelly says, good evening. At least till the debate starts. It may still be good. It might be. So yes. Joel says, I'm going to bounce between Larry, Crowder, and Viva Barnes. Oh, nice. Look, I'm good. That's awesome. Rick says, sodomize the like button. You don't have to do that part to it. No. Just hit it. Just do the button with the. If you want to, no judgment, but not required. How about that? If you want to, it's fine. You could just click it. It works just as well. The button that is like. Obviously, if you're watching on Twitter, please retweet this, as I always ask. If you're watching on YouTube, you can always super chat me if you like. But no matter what, please subscribe to whatever channel you're watching. Please subscribe. Every subscription does matter. Click the bell for notifications. We keep going 100%. I say it every time because it matters, not because I'm bored. I say it because it matters. You know, this kind of stuff, I'm getting shadow banned and half my crap gets demonetized anyway. So whatever you can do to help out would matter. If you want to super chat me, as I always say, and of course, you want to become a member, so I keep doing this, click the join button, $5 per month. You get to hear me yap like every day. This time it's twice a day. I was on at 1, now I'm on again at 8. I am a madman. What am I doing? Clearly, I have issues. But that's okay. I want to ask the next question, though. All right. Who will bring up race? Or will they? Now, I didn't even bring up, let me go to abortion first and then race. I didn't do that. Who do we think will bring up abortion first? Will it be him in defense, her in an attack, or will it be them asking a question on it, right? That was the question I was saying. I think they're going to be asking a question. I think they'll ask a question on abortion. That's what I think, but I'm going to write that down so I can remember. I think they're going to ask a question on abortion. I do not think it'll be either one of them. I think they'll ask a question about it, and then they'll go on. That's my view. We'll see if I'm right or not. John says, Larry, what will be your first question? If I'm a moderator, the first question I would say is, both of you have spent 4 years in the White House. Both of you have watched things go good and things go poorly. You both watched it. Please tell the American people one thing you would change from the 4 years in your office. In other words, what you've learned and what you do differently. That would be my first question if I was a moderator of this debate, because they both have that same thing, and it will show, will they have any humility? They won't, which makes them look terrible. Did they actually learn anything? Are they prepared to explain a change, right? And then, of course, since I've opened it up, their priorities. Their priorities. That question's brilliant. It's opened up because I'm brilliant, damn it. No, I'm kidding. Because I do many of these. If you look through my YouTube page, I moderate debates. It's one of the things that I do. I do like everything, all right? So like I do all the things. If it's being in front of people and being live, basically I do it. So I moderate debates. That would be my first question. I do an opening statement, then that question. And now I get to see exactly what this person's thinking, why they're thinking, that whole deal, right? That piece gets us to understand their priorities. Then I ask a follow-up question, right? Because they're going to blow it off. And when they blow it off, I push and I have space for a follow-up question. Going, okay, what I meant was, or how about that kind of thing. This way they can't. It's like when you're interviewing somebody and they say, what's your greatest weakness? My greatest weakness is I'm so perfect, right? That kind of garbage, right? So if I say what happened, what went wrong, and they go, well, really nothing because blah, 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 blah. And I'm going, so you're telling me you were perfect? That's what I would that would be my follow-up question if they don't give me something. So you were perfect? Everything was perfect? Now they're going to go, well, now they have to answer that question. So I hope that was a good question for you. That's how you're able to actually have good questions, right? I think that would help. All righty. Let's see here. Joel says the first question, is this the best we have? Is the choice for president of the United States? What? No, the first question should be, Joel, are you kidding me? That's the first question. Are you guys kidding me? That's the first question. What? Yeah, I like that. I like yours better. Smoke Abyss says it will be a question for show. I agree. I think it will be a question. I'm with you. I think we're all on the same page there. I think it'll be a question. Yes, 100%. So, all right. Let me grab a couple more of this if I could. All righty. I want to make sure we got some of these questions here. And then I have more things I want to do also. Pete says, bold prediction for tonight, lack of discussion about rolling back the size of scope of government. All right, let me see if I can find a way they might. Hold on, Pete. Challenge accepted. Let's see if I can find a way they might do it. I think there is a chance. All right, here's my, I'm a stretch on this one. I'm stretching. I am stretching on this one, Pete. But here's my stretch. There is a chance that Trump will talk about less wars and rolling back the government when it comes to less war. He might do that. That's a stretch, but I would say maybe. And I think he's going to bring up like World War III or the brink of war or something like that. So he might do that. There we go. See, challenge accepted. I gave you one. See if I'm right. If I'm wrong, you can laugh at me later. But I think I'm going to be okay. So yes. Tanner says, did you see Kamala finally added positions to our website? Yes, and they're useless, but it's fine. But yes, she kind of had to. At one point, you have to, right? You have to put something up. You have to. Yes. Dave says, I bought a bottle of bourbon for the occasion. You are going to be hammered, my friend. All right, so let's keep going. Do you think Trump brings up the attempt on his life? Does he bring up the attempt on his life or not? Remember, he said he wasn't going to bring it up again. Does he do it now? I think he does. I think he brings it up because it shows a level of bravery and or strength that I don't think Harris can match. So if it were me, I would tell him to bring it up. I would have him bring it up. I 100% would. That's my gut. I think he does bring it up. I think he has to, right? I think he does have to. So Pickleball goes back to, they will talk about it in terms of Project 2025. Yes. Guaranteed they will bring up 2025. Guaranteed. 100%. There's no doubt she'll bring it up. No doubt she'll bring it up. The question, though, is how does Trump handle it? Right? Does he just dismiss it? Does he push it away? What does he do? Now, again, if I thought that, to my earlier point, Pick Bell, I would have brought that up in my opening statement also. Right? The two things you're pretty much sure she's going to attack him on, I say maybe three. She's going to attack him on Jan 6. She's going to attack him on Project 2025. And she's going to attack him on abortion. Those are three she's probably going to attack. I would assume, right? That's what that's my assumption. So my opening statement would defend myself against all three immediately. So I'd actually open up and say, you're going to hear about Project 2025. And then whatever my answer is, that's what I would do to kind of push that out of the way to defend it. I'd definitely follow that piece if I was her. I think she is going to push her on immigration, guaranteed. Economy, I think guaranteed. And here's the other piece I think he may push her on. I think, well, immigration and economy fall back to one thing, which is, was it better when I was president, right? And I think, in my view, if I'm Harris, I've got to push that Trump is so radical, the world's going to end. Democrats get out and vote. The world's going to end. Democrats get out and vote, right? That's where I don't sit around. This is not, don't watch Netflix. Get out and vote Democrats. I've been telling you, Orange Man bad. We've held him at bay for 4 years. We can finish him off, right? We can finish off the Orange Man. I know those of you who are Republicans don't like to hear that, but I'm telling you what I would be telling her, right? We can finish the Orange Man off. When he loses this election, he goes away. He's gone. And then I would bring up, and he's probably going to jail. I would literally say that kind of thing. I think it's a good attack versus the prosecutor. That is how I would strike him. That's what I would do, right? If I could. That's what I would do. And if I don't get an opening statement, I would say my first question anyway. And this is the second piece. If they ask you the first question, don't answer it. Just do an opening statement. Just do it. Believe it or not, Cornel West did that to me. I did not have an opening statement for his debate in the Libertarian Party of California. He just did an opening statement. Didn't answer my question. And I went, okay, I guess I'm giving people opening debate. So I give the other two guys opening statements, and then we went back on the debate, and I re-asked my question afterwards. So I would do that anyway. So that's how I would handle if I was Harris. We can finish him off. It's the end of it. Blah blah blah. Get Democrats out to vote. If I'm Trump, I'm saying one. I'm basing it off of, wasn't it better when I was president, right? Which goes two things, which is immigration and economy. But one more thing, you do want to make her seem like a radical flip-flopper, right? Because you want even Democrats to be afraid. Like, your goal, if you're Trump, most Democrats are not going to vote for Trump. Most aren't. Some will. Some have changed over and will vote for him. Of course, some Republicans are voting for Harris, so some will. But the majority of them aren't going to. So your goal is to make them feel scared or worried and hopefully feel so broken they don't bother voting, right? Just so broken, they won't bother voting. That's the hope that Trump has to do. Like, in Trump's best world, a whole bunch of Democrats are thinking, am I going to vote for Jill Stein? What am I going to do? That's Trump's best world, right? In Harris's best world, they go, wow, we can finish off Trump and get back to the old ways. And then all the old neocons become happy and go, oh, great, we get rid of Trump. Awesome. We can go back to Bush versus Clinton every other year. Great. Like, that's what they want. So that would be perfect for her, right? That's how she makes that happen. And of course, fear for Democrats, so they all come out and actually do that. So yes. Dave brings up, Harris will bring up the shootings in Kentucky, Georgia, and maybe Omaha, Nebraska. That would be smart, because it would force Trump to actually make a stance on guns. That would be a good move. I hadn't thought about that one. All right, good. That's a good one. Dave, that's nice. All right, I'm going to put that down too. Dave, you actually said she would bring up gun shootings. You know what? Now that you say it, it's obvious. It's completely obvious not to say it. 100%. Yes. So, all right. Peace Logic asks, thank you for the $2. I appreciate it. Will Trump mention RFK and Maha? I don't think so. Now, let's see if we're right. Peace Logic. We'll see if we're right. Here's why I think he won't. I think he won't because that takes the shine off of him directly. I don't think he will. But do I think it's a good idea? Yes, I actually do. I think as for my first question, I said I would ask if I was the moderator. I think if either of these people show some humility, some sharing of themselves of others, I think the people will like it. It will make them more human. The thing that Trump does very poorly is he shows empathy very poorly. What Trump does well is he projects strength very well. He does not show empathy very well at all. Biden used to. You go back 10 years ago, 10 years ago, Biden, he was really good at projecting empathy. Now, of course, obviously, he has trouble projecting anything. But Trump has never been good at projecting empathy. If he did this, I think it'd be great. If I'm advising him, I think that's a very good idea. I don't think it will because it's not the way he is. I don't think it's in his personality. Unless he listens, right? If it's me, I'd be telling him to do it. We'll see. Don't take a chat. Thank you for $50, my friend. I appreciate every super chat. The public is programmed for celebrity, not policy. Very true. Labels, titles, categories will be deaf to only what they have been programmed to receive. I'm not ready to say deaf, right? They're programmed, that's true. I'm not ready to say deaf because I think if you have a concept or idea that is just radical enough to be different, but still familiar enough to be accepted, I think you can get past it. You can get past it. I think it is. It's just a challenge, right? It's not deaf. It's just hard of hearing. How about that? Can I go there? Hard of hearing. Rhetoric and propaganda will be on full display. Yep. Build skills, grow any food you can, build networks, and pray. Not sure I like your answer, but yeah. Yeah, Morgan says guns will definitely be attacked. Yeah, you know what? Now that you say it, it's, of course. I don't know why I didn't think of that. You know what? Because to me, it's so obvious. I'm such a Second Amendment supporter that I feel like I probably just overlooked that myself. But yeah, I think now that you're saying it, 100%. That makes total sense. I'm with you. Yes. Proud Vet says, for Democrats, everything's a human right, which means everything they promise to give you, they'll also give to illegals. Well, let me walk down that road. I think there's a word that you will often hear with Democrats that you don't hear so much with Republicans. And that word is deserve. I think you'll hear the word deserve a lot. We deserve better. You deserve better. You deserve. You're going to hear deserve. Deserve is a very popular word on the left. And also for many women like the word deserve. You see it all the time when women are speaking about things. It's very, very powerful word. So I'm going to write that down too. I think you'll hear deserve a lot. I do think you'll hear that word. And not from Trump. I think you'll hear that word a lot from Harris. Not so much from Trump. So Ryan says, shock alert, buy a city on ABC. What? No. I can't believe that. No way. So, all right. I want to go to the next one. Who will look more radical? Who will look more radical? Because here's the weird part. Both of them are trying to make the other look radical. Right? So Trump's like, she's a radical leftist. And Harris like, he's a radical every phobe and ist there is. He's all the phobes and all the ists. And she's a radical leftist or a communist or whatever, right? So each one is trying to make the other look radical. So who wins in making the other radical? Or do they just give up? I feel like each one will be attacking each one on who is more radical. That's what I think. My gut says that'll be a piece that they'll talk about. I don't know. They're all trying to do it, right? They're all trying to do that. NY Liberty, how are you, sir? Says, do you think he'll take an approach more like the Biden debate and let her talk, making her own whole? He won't have a choice, I think, because the mics are shut off in between when I'm talking, and there's no audience, so I don't think so. But I think what he'll do is, if it looks like he's winning, he'll stay calm. If he's really calm, I think that means he thinks, I'm winning. It's fine. I'm winning. Ratziker says the debate is really only for independent voters. I disagree. The debate has to motivate people to get out and vote. Now, when it comes to influencing people, you are correct. But this isn't only about that, right? And again, you see, for those of you who know Democrats, or if you are a Democrat, I have many Democrats who are many of my friends and family members are Democrats. And when Biden was all about, I'm going to beat up Trump, right? Remember he was talking a lot of trash? I mean, they were excited. They loved it. They were motivated. They would tell their friends to go out and vote. They loved it. I think it's not just independents. It's also motivating the base to get out and vote. If it looks like Harris just wipes the floor with Trump, Democrats are going to be so excited. They're going to be like, "Oh my God, we're going to win this. This is ours to win." They're all going to be out there excited. They're gonna want to do everything. So I do think it's also that, right? That's an important piece. So, all right. The Frankenstein WT says an audience would be better for Trump. He knows how to work a room. That's true, but there's another piece. If Harris gets a zinger, the zingers don't land as well without an audience. I think no audience was a mistake. I think it was terrible. If I'm trying to get Harris to do this, Harris should. Not, will she? I don't know. She was not very well prepared for that interview when she brought her dad along, Waltz. That she was not very, prepared for that. If she is prepared, she will have several stories that walk down, right? Remember, the most famous story is the bus story when she crushed Biden, right? And that girl was so scared, and I'm insulted, I'm hurt, or whatever, because that girl was me. And boom, Biden's smacked, and he's better call his buddies and put the fix in because now he's going to lose. She needs something like that for Trump, and I'm sure there's something. It'll be like, and the guy that you rented the car to, that was my cousin, whatever, something like that. I mean, I'd have something like that if I was her. So my gut says that it doesn't only hurt him, it also hurts her. Who it wouldn't have hurt was Biden, and they made this up when they still thought it was Biden. That's why this comes when they thought it was Biden. But for Harris, I think it hurts her. I would have wanted her to have, if I was her, I would have said, keep the mics on, all that. Yes. Peace Logic, thank you for the $5, my friend. I wonder if trans issues will come up and puberty blockers for kids. This is a great question. I do not think a question will come up with that. I don't think so. Because there's a lot of stuff that came up about what Harris has thought in the past. And now she'll have to decide whether she still believes that or not. And as you guys know, Harris doesn't really have any center, right? She believes whatever will get her elected. That's where she goes. She'll shift and move her in 5 seconds, she will. So does she want that? Will that get me elected? Then yes. It won't? Then no. So now she has to decide whether that makes sense or not. She said she was behind these things when she thought she would win. Remember, she used to be for Medicare for all. Not anymore, right? Because it won't win. She used to be for defund the police. Not anymore. Why? Because she couldn't win. So when she was in a Democratic primary, she's about to defund the police. She was about, all the things that were further left. She was about all of them. Medicare for all. Oh, now I have to go to the Senate because I'm on president. Oh, I don't believe any of those things. None of those. Remember, she was anti-fracking. Remember, she was all the things. Now she's none of them. So I don't think they'll ask a question because ABC does not want her to fall into that trap. Now, will Trump bring it up? That would be savvy. You think he will? If Trump brings that up and then she doesn't answer it, she kind of has to. So Ryan, I think, thinks I'm wrong. Ryan says Trump needs to focus this debate on economy, inflation, immigration, and foreign policy if he wants to score a knockout blow. Yes, I think you're right. As I mentioned, he's got to make her look like a flip-flopper on everything. She is more radical than him on everything. She isn't all things, but he's got to make her look that way. And he's got to basically say, were things better when I was president? And focusing on those two things you just mentioned, immigration, inflation / economy. I think most people think they're very similar. Not everyone does, but most people see inflation and economy as the same. So that, I think, yeah, you know what? You're right. It's true. Yes. So the anti-corporatist says Pinkerbell is right. Well, there we go, Pinkerbell. You are clearly correct. The anti-corporatist has deemed it so. There we go. All righty. Let's see here. Wendy says she'll bring it up. So you think she will bring it up and not a question? I think a question comes first, Wendy. I think she waits for the question. That's what I think. I think she waits for the question. Pete says, everyone's talking about this debate and election like this shit is normal. Nicely done, Pete. Nice. You're right. I guess we've been so accustomed to things being horrible that now we're like, whatevs. Whatevs. It's all good. Yeah. Been there, done that. The whole deal. All good. Yes, absolutely. All righty. Instant Defense says, don't like Trump, but Kennedy, Tusk, Tulsi, Musk has shifted. All of them respected. They know something I don't. Maybe. I think a lot of people think that, right? This is why the earlier point, I think that he should bring them up. I think the Maha thing is not a bad thing. It shows some humility. It shows that it's not all about him. I think it's all of that. I do. So I think he should bring them all up. I don't think he will. I'll be surprised if he does. Icy Libertad says, thank you, Larry, for the great lives. I do keep trying, and I'm glad you guys are connected, right? That's the most important piece. So, yes. All righty. Let's see. Libertarian Griffin says, maybe Trump will bring RFK on stage with them, and they set up a third podium. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? You know what? But symbolically, Libertarian Griffin, you know what? That would be amazing. Could you imagine if they symbolically just came up and put it out there and then made ABC take him off? See, if you and I were running this campaign, neither one of them asked me to consult. That would have been a great little, just like have him there. And then when they both come out, just have them come out with like a standing podium, have them come out. ABC would know what to do, put the podium out, have him stand there, and then make ABC make him walk away. And then Trump be like, oh, he should be here, don't you think? We missed the opportunity, Libertarian. Give him a call real fast. See if they'll do it. It's a great idea. I do love it. I do love it. So yes. Pickleball does ask you to be kind to the like button. Yeah, I agree. I do. I like that. Kaiwan says, I'm doing you cross between Larry Sharpe. Oh, I get twice. Laura Loomer, 2 O's though. And Caitlin B. I've literally had both of them on my show. I know both of them. I know Laura Luma and Caitlin. Yep, know them both. Yep. So good. There we go. That's great. Let's see here. Let's see. Leadership Larry isn't that bad. Look at that. He says, super deep cut, Pinky. Me and my buddy were hacking his dad's copy of it when you were still in diapers. Maybe. I'm a little bit older, so it could be. Yes. All righty. Morgan says Harris will bring up abortion first, and Trump will bring up race without asking. Oh, okay, Morgan. Let's see if you're right. Morgan says she does it first. Okay. And you think he brings up race first? All right. Okay. Let's see. That seems that's ballsy. I hope you're right because that's ballsy. If both of them bring it up first, okay, we'll see. There we go. Thomas says, when Harris says she's going to complete the wall, remind her that Biden-Harris administration not only halted it, they sold off materials as scrap. Well, that's the issue, right? How does she handle immigration? I think what she says is something like, well, now we've closed it, and she throws some data out. I mean, that's my assumption, is that she'll handle the border question with some type of data. Well, now there's only X people coming, or now this is happening and we've solved it. So I think she'll use data to try to do that. Yeah. Morgan says, who brings up, you know what, the virus? Because both have good stories on the virus. I'm going to say, all right, Morgan, here's my call on the virus. I'm going to say it's Harris. I say she brings it up, and this was the excuse as to why things were so bad, and her and Biden fixed everything because of how bad Trump was with the virus. There we go. That's what she brings it up, saying when someone attacks her on why is the economy bad or why is inflation bad or whatever, her response is, Orange man bad on virus. And if he wasn't so bad on virus, we would have fixed everything already. I think that's how I'm going to go with Harris brings that up. I think Harris brings up the virus, and she uses it to excuse herself from any problems. What do you think? That's not bad, right? That's not bad. Absolutely. That's not bad at all. So yes. Let's see here. If I can grab a couple more of these, I appreciate the things we are doing. Corsair 60 says VP choice might be a good topic for Trump. Really? Why on? Oh, her VP choice. Oh, okay. Sorry. Corsair T. Is it Corsair? Corsair 60. Sorry about that. That's what you meant. Her choice of VP. Yeah, but then does that open it up for Trump to be hit with his choice of VP? And is he okay with that? Right? I'm not sure that's okay. I think he walks away from that completely, because then if he says, well, you picked Waltz, this hardcore lefty, doesn't she go, you picked the guy who hates women or whatever, hates kids or whatever, right? So I think it opens it up. Yeah, I don't think so. Morgan says, South Park has decided to stop making episodes after the election. If you remember something, do you guys remember, some of you remember this, years ago, there was a cartoon made by the South Park guys, and it was called, was it? Oh, I forgot what it was called. Something but it was a joke about the Bush president and the Bush and George W. Bush and Cheney and Condoleezza Rice were all children. They were all kids. It's a true story. They thought Al Gore was going to win that election, and they did the entire thing. It was supposed to be all the Gore kids. That's true. I'm not making this up. It was going to be all on the Gore kids. They had a whole thing done, put up together, and then Bush wins the election. Like, they rewrite the whole thing. True story. They rewrite the entire thing. They rewrite everything to make it Bush, because they thought Gore. So that's why they're doing that, Morgan. They're like, okay, we don't know. Next thing, when they started if you guys watch South Park, when Mr. Garrison kind of became Trump, they didn't think Trump was going to win. So they had to change the entire thing again. They didn't learn a lesson the first time. They did not. And it's a true story. They did not learn the lesson the first time with Gore and Bush. They did not think that Trump was going to win. So that's why they had nobody for Trump. Remember, they just had the Hillary character. They didn't have a Trump character. They didn't think he was going to win. So they just made him Mr. Garrison. So anyway, they finally, third time's a charm, Morgan. They have finally learned, and they will now stop doing that. So yes, there we go. Yes. All right. I'll grab some more of these. Pete says, do you think Harris will have the question in advance? Well, that's happened before. So maybe. It has literally happened before. So maybe. Yes. Could be. Yes. All right. All righty here. Jason says, I don't think they get an opening statement. Oh, well, they can do it anyway. Doesn't matter. They can do it anyway. I like it. So, and then Y Liberty says Harris is the copycat. Yeah, I think that's true. She has copied more. She has. So, all right. So we know who's going to bring up race and gender. Who will be considered radical and who will be considered the change? Because people are looking for change. They're not happy. So the question becomes, who will be seen as the change candidate and who will be seen as the more radical? Change candidate would be positive. Radical would be negative, right? So if someone is seen as a non-radical change candidate, that's the win, right? Non-radical change candidate is the winner if they can do that. And each side tries to do it to each other. When I think about that, it's funny how Harris has been able to kind of do that. She's like, we need to change from 10 years ago, whatever, we need to change. Meanwhile, she's in charge. So that's kind of weird. And then 10 years ago, Obama was in charge. So that's kind of weird. So my gut says, if Trump is effective at saying, was it better with me than not? Her saying we aren't going back will backfire on her, and she will not be able to be an effective change candidate. She might be able to make him seem more radical, right? Because she's going to scream, she's going to ban all abortions, right? She's going to say all that stuff. So she might be able to do that. But I do think that if Trump is effective at all, I think he's going to make her not the change candidate. If she's effective, she will make him the radical. That's what I think. Yeah. All righty. Ryan says, Larry, you should moderate this debate. I should, but they will never ask me. But yes, 100%. Yes. John says, Larry, I wish Trump could switch hit and put Tulsi in the debate. Oh, imagine that. Oh, another. Oh, see, we got two of them. What a great way to troll. Could you imagine if they say, and President Trump, and Tulsi just walks out, right? You just watch the face of Kamala. Ah! That would be funny. That would be funny. Man, we had some good ones we could have done, right? I think Harris wants to get under Trump's skin so that he'll say something, be mad, do something like that. I think that's true. That was what we like. But those little things really could have affected. Imagine you do both, right? You first have RFK Jr. come out with a podium. They go, stop. Then you have her come out or whatever. I mean, that's not bad. No, I'm sorry. You have to have her come out first. Laugh, ha, ha, leave. Then both come out. Laugh, ha, leave. And now all of a sudden, Harris is all screwed up. That's like some next level trolling right there. That's some next level trolling. Yeah, got it. All right. Let's see here. Rockaman says she is culturally Indian. Morgan thinks that Trump brings it up right away. I think he brings it up. That's what he says. I don't know. So Rick says, I think Dems are studiously avoiding culture wars and stuff, and Trump might bring up culture war stuff and thud. I'm not sure. Why would he? The only thing that Trump can bring up is trans issues, right? I think that's it. Any other gender thing doesn't land very well with America. But definitely the trans issue is it's very divisive. So if he's trying to make that happen, I think maybe he could do that. I mean, otherwise, I don't see it. Why would that be the only thing you bring up? And it's got to be children. If you bring that up, then yeah. Jonathan says, I wonder if Trump took advice from Tulsi Gabbard and bring up what she did for putting people in jail for drugs. I think he does that, Jonathan. I think he does bring that up. We're kind of expecting it, but people do love the hits. So I do think that's one of the hits. I do think that he could bring that up. Yeah. Michael Voss, comma, chameleon. Not bad. That's good. Yeah. She does change. Absolutely. So, all righty. Lutic Libertarian says, we need to be focused on the human issues as a whole. Our interactions make society function. Agreed. But sadly, we know we often don't, right? We often don't. Christopher says, Trump's going to mop the floor with Harris. It's going to be a bloodbath. You know, I don't. You may be right, Christopher. I don't see that. I don't see that because Harris has had a lot of time to prep. And I do think because of that, it won't be a mop floor at all. So yes. Michael says, is Larry Schumer in debate here? I am. Yes, I'm going to pop it right in. I'm through ABC. I'm giving ABC full credit. Absolutely. Full credit. I am doing that. Yes. So, all right. Jacob says, I wonder if this debate's going to actually change anyone's mind. Unless something crazy happens, probably not. However, again, the second part of this is to motivate the base to get out and vote. There's give or take 50 million Democrats, registered Democrats in America, give or take 40 million Republicans registered in America. There are more Democrats registered in America than there are Republicans. So if 80 or 90% of Democrats vote and only 40, 50% of Republicans vote, Democrats win. So they're definitely looking at that. Republicans know the opposite is true. They got to get all Republicans got to get out so they can beat all the Democrats going out. So that's the issue. You want to get people to go out and vote. That piece is just absolutely critical. We have to make that happen. So yes. Colidi says, is there a debate bingo card we can print out? You know what? Colidi, that's a good idea. I wish I had done that. Now I regret that. I wish I had done that. I probably could have. I could have put it out someplace and had you guys grab it. I probably should have done that. I didn't even think about it. This is my first time doing a debate live. I don't usually do it live, right? I don't usually do it live. So not bad. Yeah. Sassy says, Larry was thinking maybe Bobby's telling us to vote for Trump in every state to throw off Dems and stop the crazy lawsuits. Your thoughts? No. He just believes it. Nope. He believes it. Rocket Man says, abortion's low priority. Yes, but let me give you a but on this one, Rocket Man. It's true. If you look at what people in polls talk about with their prior issues, important issues, abortion is never high on the list. That's true. But man, it is a really important emotional issue, like really important emotional issue. It makes women feel like you support them or you don't. Not all women. I'm exaggerating. Many women. How about that? It makes many women feel like people look at your stance on abortion, women do specifically, and very often think, are you pro-woman or anti-woman? Now, to be very clear, I am not saying if you're pro-choice that you're by default pro-woman. I'm not saying if you're pro-life, you're by default anti-woman. What I'm saying is emotionally, many people feel that. So that's what I've done. Yeah, that's where I stand on that. That's where I stand on that. So yeah. Yes. Ryan says, I watched the debate between Larry and Howie Hawkins moderated by Chrissy Mayer. Great job by all three. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. Yes, absolutely. So Roy says, we should ask him why he thinks the government should have a say in what women do with their bodies. Ooh. Do you think that's the kind of question they ask, Roy? Or do you think someone just brings it up? I think they just bring it up like, you're going to do the bad thing and have them try to defend it. Or maybe worse, if there's no way of going back and forth, Harris says it, it just lands, and then Trump can't respond to it. That's not bad. Yeah. Jacob says, Harris and Biden made the virus situation worse, though. Yes, but that's the excuse, Jacob. I'm not saying it's true or not. What I'm saying is that's the way that she spins it, right? She has to spin it. That's the reason, right? That's the issue. Pete says, will there be anything on the millions of lives ruined by lockdowns? No. Childhood delays, depression, suicides to the roof? No. Rampant violent crime across the country? Yes, and they'll blame each other for that one. Working class absolutely decimated by inflation, largest transfer of wealth in human history but the rich? Yes, but they'll blame each other for that one. That they're both responsible for. Everything you said is true, and they'll only talk about the last two, and they'll blame each other for it. That's how it will actually manifest itself. That's what will actually happen. So, yes, absolutely. Guys, just to be clear, make sure you click the like button. It's going to start in about 5 minutes or so. Click the like button. I'm going to put it on. We'll listen to it together. In addition, if you're watching this on Twitter or Facebook, retweet, share this so other people can see it. It does matter. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, why do you hate me? I don't know why you hate me. You subscribe. Please subscribe now. It does matter. Click that bell for notifications so you get it every time. If you're happy me watching on YouTube, you can always super chat me if you like. If you want to really support me, you can become a member. Click that join button on YouTube, Larry Sharpe YouTube. You can do $4, $4.99 per month and support the show so I can spend more time doing this and less time doing other things. Yes, absolutely. All righty. Let me grab a couple of these. Jan 6 is pretty radical. Joy, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I think Harris will do to make him radical. I think he will try to make her radical. Like, you want Medicare for all or whatever. You want BLM rioters or something, right? He'll do that for her, and she'll do the opposite for him. You want to ban all abortions in Jan 6. You want to give them all medals. She'll do the exact opposite. I think they will use those against each other. The question is, what will stick, right? What will stick? The issue that I think may be more important here is most people who already support Trump already think he's a radical and are like, they've accepted it. Like, okay, fine, he's radical. Whatever, fine. I don't know if that's the same with Harris. In fact, I would argue some people on the left don't think she's left enough. That's why they're going towards things like, or people like Jill Stein and Cornel West. Some people think she's not enough. So yes. Raza says, if Trump was to be the perfect gentleman, but still very tough, could he win over anybody? I think yes, it's possible. Or really appear to change. I think he might give it a try. Yeah. But again, remember, if you ever say you've changed, you have to announce the epiphany, or otherwise no one believes you. And the glory of this is he does have the opportunity. He can say the attempt on his life changed him. And some people would believe him. Particularly if you had it happen to you, you might believe that. Absolutely. So will he bring up defund the police? I think he will. Will she say, I'm speaking? That's one of the hits. I think she's going to bring up that. And she's going to bring the fact that he is a felon. I think he will. If the wars pop up, I think that each one's going to say the other one supports the wrong war. That's what I think. Each one supports the wrong war. So I am going to see if I can get them on right now. Hold on. Let me see if I can get them on. Hold on here. We are about to start. So let's see if I can get it going here. And
the candidates separated by the smallest of margins, essentially tied in the polls nationally. And in the
Can you guys hear that?
Including right here in Pennsylvania, all still very much in play. The ABC News presidential debate starts right now.
There we go.
This is an ABC News special. The most consequential moment of this campaign. Kamala Harris.
Most important.
Together, we will chart a new way forward.
Donald Trump
We will soon be a great nation again.
face to face.
Great again.
Historic. The ABC News presidential debate. Here now, David Muir and Lindsay Davis.
With nobody else.
Good evening. I'm David Muir, and thank you for joining us for tonight's ABC News presidential debate. We want to welcome viewers watching on ABC and around the world tonight. Vice President
And on
Kamala
a Sharpe
Harris
way.
and President Donald Trump are just moments away from taking the stage in this unprecedented race for president.
And I'm Lindsay Davis. Tonight's meeting could be the most consequential event of their campaigns, with Election Day now less than 2 months away. For Vice President Kamala Harris, this is her first debate since President Biden withdrew from the race
First
on
one.
July 21st. Of course, that decision followed his debate against President Donald
Trump did
Trump
7.
in June. Since then, this race has taken on an entirely new dynamic.
And that brings us to the rules of tonight's debate. 90 minutes
what's
with
the
2
rules?
commercial breaks. No topics or questions have been shared
Commercial
with
breaks.
the campaigns. The candidates will have 2 minutes to answer questions, and this is the clock. That's what they'll be seeing. 2 minutes
2
for
minutes is
rebuttals
not bad.
and 1 minute for follow-ups, clarifications, or responses. Their
That's actually
microphones
long.
will only be turned on when it's their turn to speak. No pre-written
Boo.
notes allowed. There is
Boo.
no audience here tonight in this hall at the National Constitution
Boo.
Center. This is an intimate setting for 2 candidates who have
Boo.
never met.
President Trump won the coin toss. He chose to deliver the final closing statement of the evening. Vice President Harris selected the podium to the right.
So let's now welcome
we
the
go.
candidates to the stage. Vice President Kamala
Lunatic.
Harris
Hunger
and
Game
President
vibes.
Donald Trump.
I agree. She gonna have fire when she comes out? No clapping? This is weird. You gonna shake hands?
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Oh, like you didn't know.
Thank you.
You
Welcome
didn't
to you
know.
both. It's wonderful
I'm
to have
Kamala
you. It's an
Harris.
honor
You
to
didn't
have
know
you
who I
both here
was.
tonight.
Good evening. We are looking forward to a spirited and thoughtful debate.
So let's get started.
Stop lying.
I want to begin tonight with the issue that voters repeatedly say is their number one issue, and
opening
that is the
statement.
economy and the cost of living in this country. Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4
Yep.
years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle class kid. And I
Ooh.
am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America. I
Answer.
believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that
She
is
is
why
literally doing an
I
opening statement,
imagine
what I
and
talked
have
about.
actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy.
Yep.
Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing. And the cost of housing is too
Tinkerbell,
expensive for far
she's
too many
doing an
people.
opening statement, is what I
We
just
know
said.
that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of
And that answered the
$6,000,
question at
which
all.
is the
Opening
largest
statement.
child tax credit that we have given in a long time, so that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children.
Lunatic. I
My
don't give a about your
passion,
question.
One of them
Yes,
is small
exactly right.
businesses. I was actually, my
Not your
mother
passion,
raised my
shut up.
sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small businesses. My plan is to give a $50,000 tax
No one asked
deduction
about your plan.
to start up small businesses, knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in
This
$5
is
trillion
all
to
rehearsed.
America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through
Damn.
the month. Economists have said that that Trump sales tax would actually result
It's Trump
for
sales
middle-class
tax.
families
Oh, I like that
in
one.
about $4,000 more a year
There's her
because
numbers.
of his policies and his ideas about what should be the backs of middle-class people paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
Didn't
President
answer the
Trump, I'll
question.
give you 2 minutes.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because it was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had it, I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation has, which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation
let's get
like
to
very
dressing.
few
You're right,
people have
both of them.
ever seen before. Probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80%
No one
higher
answers the
than they
question.
were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails,
There's
from mental
immigration.
institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also
Ooh,
unions.
he
Unions
brought
are
up
going to be
race.
affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see
Damn
what's
you,
happening
Morgan,
with
you were
towns
right.
throughout the United States. You look
God
at
damn it, Morgan, well
Springfield,
done.
Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that Xi and Biden led into our country, and they're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality, and we have to get them out. We have to get them out fast. I
They
created
both
one of
just
the
gave opening
greatest
statements.
economies
Just give
in
them
the
open
history of
statements
our
then.
country.
No one answered the question.
I'll do it again and even better.
We are going to get to immigration and border security during this debate, but I would like to let Vice President Harris respond on the economy here.
Well, I would love to. Let's talk
you
about
wouldn't.
what Donald Trump left us.
Oh.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great
It's because
Depression.
virus.
Donald Trump left us the worst public health
that?
epidemic
The
in a
virus.
century.
Bingo.
Donald Trump left
All right,
us
Morgan, I get points
the
for that one.
worst
That's
attack
my points.
on our democracy since the Civil War. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess.
Jan 6 too?
What we have done and what
That's-
I
that's
intend to
2 for
do
2.
is build on what we know are the aspirations and the hopes of the American people. But I'm going to tell you all in this debate tonight, you're going
I'm
to
not gonna
hear
answer any
from the
questions.
same old tired playbook, a bunch
Heard
of
that one
lies, grievances, and name calling. What you're going to hear
By you or
tonight
by him or both?
is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025
Oh,
that the
hit that
former
already, too.
president intends
Damn.
on implementing if
Check
he were
box.
elected again. I believe very strongly that the American people want a president who understands the importance of bringing us together, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. And I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans.
President Trump will give you a minute here to respond.
Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas, I guess some good, some bad, but it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. Cut taxes very substantially and create a great economy like I did
They
before.
all fell
We
for
had the
it.
greatest economy. We got hit with a pandemic. And the pandemic was not since 1917, where 100 million people died, has there been anything like it. We did a phenomenal job with the pandemic. We handed them over a country where the economy and where the stock market was higher than it was before the pandemic came in. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We made ventilators for the entire world. We got gowns, we got masks, we did things that nobody thought possible. And people give me credit for rebuilding the military. They give me credit for a lot of things, but not enough credit for the great job we did with the pandemic. But the only jobs they got were bounce back jobs. These were jobs bounce back, and it bounced back and it went to their benefit. But I was the one that created them. They know it, and so does everybody else.
Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond.
Why?
So-
Why are you letting her respond? What?
Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy.
Say
And
that 3
the
times.
best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What
Okay.
Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse. Mine would strengthen the economy. What
So you
the
got the
Wharton
bankers.
School has said
Okay.
is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession. You just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
It's just a soundbite. They gave her that to say. Look, I went to the Wharton School
They
of Finance.
gave her that
and
to say.
Many of those professors, the top professors, think my plan is a brilliant plan. It's a
That
great
was
plan.
actually
It's
good.
a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of good, solid money for our country. And just to finish off, she doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, oh, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. Take a look at her plan. She doesn't have a plan.
Mr. President, I do want to drill down on something you both brought up. The Vice President brought up your tariffs. You responded, and let's drill down on this because your plan is what she calls is essentially a national sales tax. Your proposal calls for tariffs, as you pointed out here, on foreign imports across the board. You recently said that you might double your plan, imposing tariffs up to 20% on goods coming into this country. As you know, many economists say that with tariffs at that level, costs are then passed on to the consumer. Vice President Harris has argued it'll mean higher prices on gas, food, clothing, medication, arguing it costs the typical family nearly $4,000 a year.
Wow.
Do you believe Americans can
He's saying
afford
all
higher
her-
prices
all her
because of
talking
tariffs?
points.
They're not going to have higher prices. What's going to have and who's going to have higher prices is China and all of the countries that have been ripping us off for years. I was the only president ever. China was paying us hundreds of billions of dollars, and so were other countries. And, you know, if she doesn't like them, they should have gone out and they should have immediately cut the tariffs. But those tariffs are there 3.5 years now under their administration. We are going to take in billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. I had no inflation, virtually no inflation. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy. And all you have to do is look at a poll. The polls say 80 and 85 and even 90% that the Trump economy was great, that their economy was terrible.
Vice President Harris,
Just
I
sick
do
of
want
seeing
to
it
ask
then.
for your
Just-
response.
if that's
You heard what
true,
the
just say
president
that.
said there, because the Biden administration did keep a number of the Trump tariffs in place. So how do you respond?
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military. Basically sold
she
us out
stabs him.
when a
Sold us
policy
out.
about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century.
That's a nice comeback.
Which means focusing on the details of what that requires, focusing on relationships with our allies, focusing on investing in American-based technology so that we win the race on AI, on quantum computing, focusing on what we need to do to support America's workforce so that we don't end up having on the short end of the stick in terms of workers' rights. But what
terms of
Donald
workers'
Trump did,
rights.
let's talk about this, with
Let's do
COVID,
it.
is he actually thanked President Xi for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet. Thank you, President Xi, exclamation point. When we know
Ooh,
that Xi
she's
was
hitting 'em.
responsible for lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins of COVID.
President Trump, I'll let you respond.
First of all, they bought their chips from Taiwan. We hardly make chips anymore because of philosophies like they have and policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever
I
got
was going to
elected,
send her
she'd
a
change
MAGA
it.
hat.
And it will be
That's
the end
true,
of
though.
our country. She's a Marxist.
She
Everybody
did
knows
beat
she's
you
a
up.
Marxist.
Oh, there
Her
it is. There
father's
it
a
is.
Marxist
See?
professor in economics.
There we
And
go.
he taught
All right.
her well. But when you look
Told
at
you.
what she's done to our country, and when you look at these
Flip-flopper?
millions and millions of
Far
people
left,
that
that
are
was
pouring
right.
into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals. And that's bad for our economy, too. You know, you mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy. They have, and she has, destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say They have to hate our country.
President Trump, thank you. Lindsay?
I want to turn
she's
to
got
the
under his
issue
skin.
of
She
abortion.
did get under his
President
skin.
Trump,
She
you
did.
often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade last year. You said
There we
that
go.
you were
Abortion.
proud to
I
be
was
the
right.
most
It was a
pro-life
question.
president in American history.
Question,
Then last
abortion.
month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because
Wow, both
you've changed your
preps
position
of those
so many
questions were
times.
both pro her
Therefore,
both times.
why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West
Radical,
Virginia,
right?
the previous
Radical.
governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, is doing an excellent job. But the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that.
There's
and
the radical.
her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country.
How did you know
'cause
that,
he
Corsair?
is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion
Corsair,
in the
well
9th
done.
month is absolutely fine. He also says
I did not see that coming.
execution after birth. It's
Corsair
execution, no
60.
longer
Well done.
abortion, because
He
the
was on
baby
Rumble,
is
guys.
born
He brought that
is
up.
okay. And
Nicely
that's
done.
not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years. They've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do. Exceptions, very important. But we were able to get it, and now states are voting on it. And for the first time, you're going to see, look, this is an issue that's torn our country apart for 52 years. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what happened. Now, Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have thought. But each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I
Why
want to get
did
your
you say
response to
that?
President Trump.
Oh,
Well, as I
look
said,
at
you're going to
that.
hear a bunch of lies, and that's
No
not
need to even
actually
say
a
that.
surprising fact. Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump
Moderators should shut up.
hand-selected 3 members
Just
of the United
ask the
States
question.
Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it
Trump
criminal
abortion. Well
for
done.
a doctor or nurse to provide health
Well
care.
done.
In one state, it provides prison for life. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for
Trump
rape and
abortion
incest, which
bans.
understand what that means. A
done.
survivor of a crime, a violation to their body, does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith
Nicely done.
or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are
You gotta
afraid they
come back,
might
Trump.
go to
She's beating you
jail,
up.
and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that. A 12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term. They don't want that. And I pledge to you, when Congress passes a bill to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. But understand, If Donald Trump were to be reelected, he
Go ahead.
will sign a national abortion ban.
There we
Understand,
go.
in his project 2025,
God, she hit
there would be a
everyone.
national
2025.
abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages. I think the American people
God,
believe
monitoring.
that
Jesus, so
certain
good.
freedoms, in particular the freedom to make decisions about one's own body, should not be made by the government.
Thank you, Vice President Harris.
Well, there she goes again. It's a lie. I'm not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban because we've gotten what everybody wanted. Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states, and the states are voting. And it may take a little time, but for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart, and they've wanted it back in the states. And I did something that nobody thought was possible. The states are now voting. What she says is an absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter because this issue has now been taken over by the states.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it came
Well,
to
I
your
won't
desk?
have to because, again, two things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the 50-50 and essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. You know what it reminds me of? When they said they're going to get student loans terminated, and it ended up being a total catastrophe. The student loans, and then her, I think probably her boss, if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look, her boss went out and said, we'll do it again. We'll do it a different way. And he went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got taunted with this whole thing about this whole idea. And how unfair that would have been. Part of the reason they lost.
She got under his skin.
The millions and millions of people that
Now
had
he's
to pay
bird
off their
saliving.
student loans.
No,
They didn't
she
get it
knows
for
he got
free.
him.
But they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance,
Oh,
has said
now you
that
gotta do
would
it.
veto if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't
Wow.
discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D. And I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me. But I really didn't.
Corsair.
Look, we don't have to
They brought up
discuss it
VP
because
again.
she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans. They couldn't get student loans. They didn't even come close to getting
Oh, no.
student loans.
She
They
got under
taunted
his skin.
young people and a lot
Yep.
of other people that had loans.
The Harris
They can
people
never
are
get
like,
this
yes,
approved.
well done.
So it doesn't
She
matter what she
executed
says
that
about going
perfectly.
to Congress. So wonderful. Let's go to Congress. Do it. But the fact is that
She
for
executed
years
that
they wanted to
perfectly.
get it
Get off
out
the
of
subject.
Congress
Run
and
away.
out of the federal
Trump,
government.
run.
And we did something that everybody said couldn't be done. And now you have a vote of the people on abortion.
Vice President Harris, want to give you your time to respond, but I do want to ask, would you support any restrictions on a woman's right to an abortion?
I absolutely support reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as you rightly mentioned,
Yeah, of course you
nowhere
mentioned.
in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America. And understand what has been happening under Donald Trump's abortion bans. Couples
so good.
who
Trump's
pray
abortion ban. Well done. Who thought of that?
and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments. What is
IVF now
happening in our
too.
country?
Oh, she's killing
Working
it.
people, working women
This
who
is her
are
issue.
working one
She
or
is
two
killing it.
jobs, who can barely
Trump,
afford
run.
childcare
Run,
as it
Trump.
is,
She's slaughtering you.
have to
Run.
travel to another state to get on a plane sitting next to strangers to go and get the health care she needs. Barely can afford to do it, and what you are putting her through is unconscionable. And the
Oh,
people
you're
of
getting slaughtered.
America have not, the majority of Americans believe in a woman's right to make decisions about her own body. And that is why in every state where this issue has been on the ballot, in red and blue states both, the people
Yep.
of
And
America
in
have
my
voted for freedom.
bingo,
Vice
IVF.
President
Yes.
Harris.
Excuse me, I
thank
have
you.
What
to
if for
respond.
freedom?
Another lie. It's another lie.
She's
I have
killing
been a
it, sadly.
leader
Yep.
on IVF, which is fertilization. The IVF, I have been a leader. In fact, when they got a very negative decision on IVF from the Alabama courts, I saw the people of Alabama and the legislature 2 days later voted it in. I've been a leader on it. They know that, and everybody else knows it. I have been a leader on fertilization, IVF. And the other thing, you should ask, will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her that question?
Why don't you
That's
answer the
problem.
question? Would you
Because
veto?
under Roe v.
Answer
Wade,
the question. Would you veto?
you could do abortions in the
I thought the
7th month,
mics were off,
the
so her
8th
mic
month,
is on?
the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth.
How is her
Just
mic
look
on?
at the former governor of Virginia. The governor of Virginia said we put the baby aside and then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
President Trump, thank you.
We're going to turn now to immigration and border security. We know it's an issue that's important to Republicans, Democrats, voters across the board in this country. Vice President
Good
Harris,
run.
you were tasked by President
Run.
Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from Central America. We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration.
They're not calling her to czar.
President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election
Okay.
to act?
It's a
And
good
would you
question
have
to
done
see.
anything differently from President Biden on this?
So I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. And let me say that the
See
United
that?
States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill, which I supported. And that bill would have put 1,500 more border
Trump
agents
has
on the
got to
border
use
to
the
help
same
those
kind
folks
of
who are working
emotion
there right now
that she used
overtime
on
trying to do
abortion.
their job.
He's got to use
It
it
would have
on the
allowed
border.
us to
or
stem
he's in
the
trouble.
flow of fentanyl
He's gotta
coming
use
into
that
the
same
United
thing.
States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that
Guns,
bill?
drugs, human beings.
Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress and said, kill the bill.
Folks.
And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this
You
comes
didn't answer the
at
question,
a
though,
time where
as
the
always.
people of
And
our
they don't
country
push her to answer the
actually
question.
need a leader
Didn't answer the
who
first question
engages in solutions,
or this one.
who actually addresses
They pushed
the
him on
problems
answering
at
the
hand.
question.
But what we
but
have
not
in the
her.
former president is someone who would prefer to run
Twice.
on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And I'll tell you something, he's going to talk about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills
going
cause
weird.
cancer. And what you will also notice
She's
is that
going to
people
weird.
start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first.
Deserve?
And I pledge to
See
you
that?
I will.
There's my
Vice President
word.
Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your
Well,
response.
I
She
would
says
like to
thank you.
Let
respond.
me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill
What?
and successfully so? That would have
Wow.
put
He
thousands of
can't
additional
respond?
agents and officers on the border.
First, let me
What?
respond as to the
Please.
rallies.
They
She
could just
said
respond.
people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back.
In the
Our
basement
country
bunker.
is being
Nice,
lost.
Sam.
We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject.
World War III, I
What
brought that
they
up.
have
All
done
right,
to
that was
our
Trump. I
country
told
by
you, bring it
allowing
up.
these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of
Okay,
towns
now
don't want
he's
to talk.
fighting
Not
back
going to
with
be
this.
Aurora or
She
Springfield.
wrecked him
A lot of towns don't
on
want to
the
talk
abortion.
about it
Now
because
he's
they're so
going to wreck
embarrassed by
her
it.
on immigration.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country. And it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again. She's destroying this country. And if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, we'll end up being Venezuela on steroids.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well,
All
I've seen
this,
people on television.
let me just say here, this is
The
the
people
Oh,
on
no.
television
This is a
say
clear-
my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good
Yeah.
thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
But the
television.
people are
I'm
on
taking it from
television
the city
saying their
manager.
dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's
Oh
no
my
evidence
gosh,
of
she
that.
got
Vice President
under his
Harris, I'll let
skin.
you respond to the rest of what you've
She
heard.
got under his
Talk
skin.
about extreme.
There's the
Um,
stream.
You know, this is, I think, one of the reasons why in this election, I actually have the endorsement of 200 Republicans who have formerly worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney, and John McCain,
Well,
including the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney and Congress member Liz
man,
Cheney.
she is
And
leaning into
if
that.
you want to really know
Okay.
the inside track
Wow.
on who the former president is, if he didn't make it clear already, just ask people who have worked with him. His former chief of staff, a 4-star general, has said he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. His former national security advisor has said he is dangerous and unfit. His former Secretary of Defense
you Trump
has said
supporters,
the nation, the
I
republic,
am
would
sorry.
never survive another
Trump is not. This is not his best
term.
night.
And when we
she got
listen
under his
to
skin,
this kind of rhetoric,
And he showed it.
when the issues that
He
affect
didn't
the
prep
American
well enough.
people are not being addressed, I think
She
the
is
choice
well
is clear in
prepped.
this
You guys,
election.
I told
President
you
Trump will
all.
give you a quick minute
He would
to
have
respond.
these perfectly.
Uh,
They're all under 2
Thank
minutes.
you,
She's been
because
prepped.
when I hear that, see, I'm a different kind of a person. I fired most of those people, not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people who's
Ooh, okay,
were just
okay.
killed, viciously and violently killed. And I got to know the parents and the family. They didn't fire. They should have fired all those generals, all those top people, because that was one of the most incompetently handled situations anybody
true.
has ever seen. So when somebody does a bad job, I fire him. And you take a guy like Esper, he was no good, I fired him. So he writes a book. Another one writes a book, because with me, they can write books. With nobody else can they? But they have done such a poor job, and they never fire anybody. Look at the economy. Look at the inflation. They didn't fire any of their economists. They have the same people. That's a good way not to have books written about you. But just to finish, I got more votes than any Republican in history by far. In fact, I got more votes than any president, sitting president in history by far.
Let me continue
Wow.
on immigration. It was what you wanted to talk about earlier. So let's get back to your deportation proposal.
He lost
that the
it,
Vice
guys.
President
You
has
Trump
reacted
supporters,
to
I'm
as
sorry.
well.
Your boy's not doing
President
well. He's
Trump,
got to come
you
back from
call
this.
the largest
He's
domestic
losing right now.
deportation operation in the history of our country. You say you would use the National Guard. You say if things get out of control, you'd have no problem using the U.S.
With local
military.
police, yes.
You also said you
Wow.
would use local police.
They just
How
attack.
would you deport
These
11
moderators
million
are bad.
undocumented immigrants? I know you believe that number is much higher. Take us through this. What does this look like? Will authorities be going door to door in
Sam
this
told the
country?
moderators are a joke.
It is much higher because of them.
It's
They allowed
bad.
criminals, many, many millions of criminals. They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people
back to
to come
Maha.
in, drug
Don't do
dealers
this.
to come into our country.
Change.
And they're now
Shift.
in the United States and told by their countries like Venezuela,
Roy, you're right.
don't ever
You took
come
the bait,
back
Roy.
or we're going to kill you.
He took
You
it.
know that crime in Venezuela and crime in countries all over the world is way down. You know why? Because they've taken their criminals off the street and they've given them to her to put into our country. And
He's playing
this
the
will
hits,
be one of the greatest
this is
mistakes
not-
in
this is
history for
not
them
his
to
rally.
allow. And I think
He's
they
playing the
probably
hits.
did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it because
She's
they're
quiet now. She's
destroying
winning,
the
and
fabric
she knows it.
of our country by what they've done. There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our
Blue black
country.
boss.
Millions
Yikes, Trump
of
needs to
people
take a chill
let
pill.
in. And
Unity
all over the
Trump, come
world,
on, man. Yes.
crime is down all over
He's
the
not
world
doing it.
except here. Crime here is up and through the roof.
NorCal.
Despite
Yes,
their
she's
fraudulent
prepared
statements
because
that
she's
they
been
made.
sitting at home preparing
Crime
while
in
Trump
this
has been out.
country is
It's
through
what I
the
said,
roof. And we
NorCal.
have
If
a
you
new
heard
form
earlier,
of
I
crime.
said
It's
that.
called migrant
Literally, that's
crime.
what I said.
And it's happening
said
at
she'll do
levels
well
that nobody thought possible.
because she's
President
prepping.
Trump, as you know, the FBI
Everything's
says
prepped.
overall
She
violent
ends at like
crime is
2
actually
minutes
coming down in
perfectly.
this country. But Vice
Excuse me,
President
the
Harris,
FBI
Wow.
defrauded. They were defrauding statements. They didn't include
Well,
the worst cities. They
I have an
didn't
idea,
include the
moderator.
cities with the worst
Just ask
crime.
the question
It
and
was
walk away.
a fraud. Just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said they created turned out to be a fraud.
President Trump, thank you. I'll let you respond, Vice President Harris.
Well, I think this is so rich
Wow.
coming from someone who has been prosecuted.
Yeah, I
For
told you that. The
National
felon,
security
man, I'm getting
crimes,
all of them.
economic crimes, election
I'm getting all of them.
interference, has
Yep.
been found liable for sexual assault, and his
Bingo.
next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing. And let's be clear where each person stands on the issue of what is important about respect for the rule of law and respect for law enforcement. The former vice president called for defunding federal law enforcement, 45,000 agents, get this, on the
She
day
did
after he
him
was arraigned on
defund
34
police.
felony counts. So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important that we move forward, that we turn the page on this same old tired rhetoric and address the needs of the American people, address what we need to do about the housing shortage, which I have a plan for, address
No, you
what we
don't.
must do to support our small businesses, address
You won't do
bringing
that.
down the price of groceries. But frankly, the American people are exhausted with this same old tired playbook.
Vice President
Look,
Harris. thank
Jonathan
you.
says
Excuse
it.
me.
It's repetitive.
Every
It's
one of
sinking
those
his ship.
cases
Yes.
was started by them against their political opponent. And I'm winning most of them, and I will win the rest on appeal. And you saw that with the decision that came down just recently from the Supreme Court. I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department. Every one of those cases was involved with the DOJ, from Atlanta and
Jonathan,
Fani
you're right.
Willis
Exactly correct.
to the Attorney General of New York and the DA
Lunatic.
of New York.
She's
Every
not
one of
prepared. We're
those
watching
cases,
a scripted show.
And then
She's
they
scripted,
say,
but
"Oh,
that's a good
he
thing, though.
was-
She's
he's
good.
a criminal." They're the ones that made them go after me. By the way, Joe Biden was
She's very
found
well prepared.
essentially guilty on the
Agreed.
documents case. And what happened in my documents case? They said, "Oh, that's the toughest of them all." A complete
Yes,
and total
I'm
victory.
exhausted
2
with
months
both of
ago, it was thrown
too.
out. It's weaponization, and they used it, and it's never happened in this country. They used it
He's
to
lost
try and
completely.
win
Let's
an
be clear.
election. They're
President Trump
needed a
fake
pill to do
cases.
this.
President Trump, thank you. A really quick response here, Vice President Harris, on this notion of weaponization.
Yeah,
of the Justice
let's make sure
Department.
she gets
Well,
the
let's
answer.
talk about extreme and understand the context
Extreme.
in which this election in 2024
Radical,
is taking
extreme.
place. The
Pete,
United States
not one
Supreme
question's
Court
been answered yet. You're correct.
recently
They're not answering
ruled
any
that
questions.
the former president would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again. Understand, this is someone who has openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate
Sassy. I can't
the
watch it anymore. He's
Constitution
done.
of the United States, that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies. Someone
He
who
didn't
has
bring up
openly
Russia.
expressed
He
disdain
didn't bring up being his
for
attack.
members of our military.
He didn't bring up her defund the
Understand
police.
what it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House.
He didn't
with
bring up
no
her
guardrails.
flip-flopping.
Because certainly we know now the court won't stop him. We know J.D. Vance is not going to stop him. It's up to the American people.
Vice President
stop
Harris,
him.
thank you. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last
Sam,
run for
she'd be
president.
immune too. Yes.
We got to
This is the
continue
one
here.
that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because
There
of
we go.
the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy
President
with a fake
Trump.
Russia investigation.
We do have a lot to
that
get to.
went
Too
nowhere.
late,
We have a lot
dude.
to get to.
I
Lindsay?
said to bring
Vice
these up.
President
You
Harris,
should
in your
have.
last run
You
for
should have
president,
opened
you
with
said You
those.
wanted to ban fracking.
Now you're defending
you don't.
yourself.
You wanted mandatory
Okay, here's a
government
flip-flop.
buyback programs for
Okay.
assault weapons. Now your campaign says you don't. You supported decriminalizing border crossings. Now you're taking a harder line. I
All
know
right,
you say
finally.
that your values have not changed. So then why have
we
so
go.
many of your policy positions changed?
There we
So
go.
my values have not changed, and I'm going to
She-
discuss every one of the, at least
No,
every
you
point
won't.
that
You will
you've
not
made.
answer.
But in particular,
You won't
let's talk
answer.
about fracking because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States. And in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation
So in
Reduction
2019,
Act,
I was against
which
fracking.
opened new
But in
leases
2020,
for
when I
fracking.
realized I could actually
My
win,
position
I
is
was
that
for.
we
And
have
it hasn't
got
changed
to
since I changed
invest
it.
in diverse sources of energy so we reduce our reliance on foreign oil. We have had the largest increase in domestic oil production in history because of an approach that recognizes that we cannot over-rely on foreign oil. As it relates to my values, let me tell you, I grew up a middle-class kid raised by a
stop that.
hardworking mother who worked and saved and was able
in
to buy our
Canada.
first home when I was a teenager.
Yep.
The values I bring to the importance of home ownership, knowing not everybody got handed $400 million on a silver platter and then filed bankruptcy 6 times, is a value that I bring to
She's
my
just
work
punching
to
him.
say we are
Oh,
going
she's
to
punching.
work with the private
God,
sector
she
and
prepped
home
herself.
builders to increase
She
3
prepped
million homes,
herself.
increase
Well
by 3
done.
million homes by the end of my first term. My work that is related to having a friend when I was in high school who was sexually assaulted by her stepfather. And my focus then on protecting women and children from violent crime is
Has
based on a
not answered
value
the question at
that is
all.
deeply grounded in the importance of standing
done.
up for those who are most vulnerable. My work that is about protecting Social Security and Medicare is based on long-standing work that I have done, protecting
Repetitive.
seniors
My
from
work.
scams.
My work.
My
Very good.
values have not
My values.
changed. And
Not
what
a
is
or
important is
a
that there is a
or
president
in
who
this.
actually brings values and a perspective that is about lifting people up and not
So well
beating
done.
people down
She
and
prepped
name
this.
calling.
You guys
The
told
true
me
measure of the leader
you were
is the
wrong. I was right.
leader
I
who
told
actually
you she'd have
understands
this down
the strength
to
is not
everything
in
2
beating
minutes.
people down, it's
I
in
knew she was
lifting people
prepped.
up.
She prepped it,
I
and it's
intend
awesome.
to be that president.
President
Did
Trump.
not
will
answer
be-
any
First of all, I
questions.
wasn't given $400 million. I wish I was. My father was a
Well,
Brooklyn
stop
builder,
taking
Brooklyn,
it.
Queens, and
Why
a
do you
great
keep
father.
taking
I learned
this?
a lot from him, but I was given a
You take
fraction of that, a
debate
tiny
every
fraction,
time.
and I built it into many, many billions of dollars, many, many billions. And when people see it, they are even surprised. So we don't have to talk about that. Fracking,
Yeah.
she's been against it for 12 years. Defund the
Yeah.
police, she's been
David,
against that
you're
forever.
late.
She
You should have done
gave
that
all
at the bat.
stuff up
She already hit you with
very
defund the
wrongly,
police.
very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute, I'm talking now.
Where have you been? Oh,
You don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar? She went out. She went out in Minnesota
That
and
was
wanted
nice.
to let
That's a good one.
criminals that killed people, that burned down Minneapolis, she went out and raised money to get them out of jail. She did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison.
there we go.
This is
They're
a radical
transgender.
left liberal that
Radical
would do
left.
this. She wants
There
to
we go.
confiscate your
Got
guns,
'em all.
and she will never allow fracking in Pennsylvania. If she won the election, fracking in Pennsylvania will end on day one. Just to finish, one thing so important in my opinion. So I got the oil business going like nobody has ever done before. When they took over, they got
She
rid
didn't
of
do
it,
I'm
started getting
speaking,
rid
he
of it,
did. So I
and
lost.
the
I thought
prices
she
were
do I'm
going
speaking,
up
he
the
did.
roof.
I lost on
They
that one. The rest
immediately
I'm
let these
I'm
guys
killing it
go
here.
to where they were. I would have been 5 times, 4 times, 5 times higher because you're talking about 3.5 years ago. They got it up to where I was because they had no choice because the prices of energy were quadrupling and doubling. You saw what happened to gasoline. So they said, let's go back to Trump. But if she won the election, the day after that election, they'll go back to destroying our country and oil will be dead. Fossil fuel will be dead. We'll go back to windmills and we'll go back to
I nailed
solar,
all of these,
where
Sam.
they need
Like
a
every
whole
one of them.
desert to get some energy
Absolutely.
to come out. You ever see a solar plant? By the way,
Yes.
I'm a big fan
Full
of
of
solar.
check marks.
But
Yes.
they take 400,
President Trump.
500 acres of desert
President
soil.
Trump, we have a
These
lot
are
of
not good
issues
things
that
for
we
the
have to get
environment.
to.
to
We're
share
out of
Uno
with
time.
you.
reverse
Thank
on
you.
I'm talking.
Lindsay,
Nicely
thank you.
done.
We have an election in just 56 days. And I want to talk about the peaceful transfer of power, which, of course, we all know is a cornerstone of our democracy and the role of a president
Jan 6 is
in a
coming.
moment of crisis. Mr.
Jan
President, on
6th.
January 6th, you told
There
your
we go.
supporters to march to the Capitol. You said you would be right there with them. The country and the world saw what played out at the Capitol that day, the officers coming under attack. Aides in the West Wing say you watched it unfold on television off the Oval
Jesus,
Office.
they just,
You did send
they're-
out tweets, but it was
they
more than 2
prep
hours before you sent out that
everything
video message
to make him look
telling your
terrible.
supporters to go home. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day?
Wow.
You just said a thing that isn't covered peacefully and patriotically. I
Yep.
said during my speech, not later on. Peacefully and patriotically.
Wow.
And nobody on the other side was killed. Ashley Babbitt was shot by an out-of-control police officer that should have never, ever shot her. It's a disgrace.
Wow.
But we didn't do this group of people that have been treated so badly. I ask, what
I
about
see
all
why
the
he
people
didn't
that
wanna
are
go to
pouring into our
ABC. I
country
get
and
it.
killing
I
people?
get why he didn't
that
wanna
she
go.
allowed to pour it in. She was the border czar. Remember that. She was the border czar.
Border
she doesn't
czar's
want to
too
be called
late.
the border czar because she's embarrassed by the border. In fact, she said at the beginning, "Oh, I'm surprised you're not talking about the border yet." That's because she knows what a bad job they've done. What about those people? When are they going to be prosecuted?
Man.
When are these
You're reacting.
people
You're
from
already
countries all
you're
over the world,
defending
not just
yourself.
South
This should have
America?
been your
They're
opening
coming in
statement,
from
dude.
all over the world, David. All over the world.
You
And
should have
crime rates
opened
are
with
down
this.
all over the world because of it.
But let me
You
just-
when
didn't
are those-
listen to your
David,
people.
When are those
You didn't
people
listen to
gonna
your
be
people, and
prosecuted?
you let
When are
her
the people that
get
burned
under your
down
skin.
Minneapolis going to be prosecuted? Or in Seattle, they went into Seattle. They took over a big percentage of the city of Seattle. When are those people going to be prosecuted?
But let me just ask
You might ask her that question.
You were the president. You were watching it unfold on television. It's a very simple question as we move forward toward another election. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day? Yes or no?
I had nothing to do with that other than they asked me to make a speech. I showed up for a speech. I said, I think it's going to be big. I went to Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington, D.C., and the mayor put it back in writing, as you know. I said, this is going to be a very big rally or whatever you want to call it. And again, it wasn't done by me. It was done by others. I said, I'd like to give
Done
you
by others,
10,000
what?
National Guard or soldiers. They rejected me. Nancy Pelosi rejected me. It was just 2 weeks ago. Her daughter has a tape of her saying she is fully responsible for what happened. They want to get rid of that tape. It would have never happened if Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington did their jobs. I wasn't responsible for security. Nancy Pelosi was responsible. She didn't do her job.
The question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi.
Man,
but
they
I do
just
want
was-
Vice President
no.
Harris to respond here.
Man, they
I
don't
was
like
at the
him at
Capitol
all.
on January 6th. I was the vice president-elect. I was also an acting
Jericho
senator.
says
I
he's
was
taking the
there.
bait 100%,
And
Jericho.
on that day,
He is
the
pissed
president
off.
of the United States
He's not as
incited
prepared.
a violent mob to
and she's
attack
he's taken all of
our
it.
nation's capital.
Pete says Trump should
desecrate
never agree
our
to this BRICS
nation's
debate.
capital. On
Yeah,
that day,
I agree, Pete.
140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died. And understand,
and some died. Oh,
the
so good.
former president has been
That's true.
indicted and impeached
Some died.
for exactly that reason. But this is not an isolated situation. Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches,
Uh-oh, she's bringing this
spewing
back.
anti-Semitic hate.
Now he's
And what
anti-Semitic.
did the president then at the time say?
Yes,
There were
yeah.
fine people on each
He was
side.
cocky. You hit it
Let's
perfectly,
remember
Desia. That's
That
what happened.
When it came to the
He wasn't
Proud Boys,
prepared.
a militia.
This was 4D
President
chess
said, the
on the
former
behalf of
president
her
said,
people.
stand back and stand by.
They
So
let
for
her
everyone
screw up
watching who
that
remembers
interview
what
with her
January
dad,
6th
Waltz,
was,
and she prepped for this.
I say
and
we
she
don't
was
have to
ready
go
for
back.
this. She was
Let's
ready.
not go back. We're not going back. It's time to turn the page. And if that was a bridge too far for you, well, there is a place in our campaign for you to stand for country, to stand for our
so
democracy,
good.
to stand for rule of law,
So
and to
good.
end the chaos, and
God,
to
so good.
end the approach that is about attacking the foundations of our democracy because you don't like the outcome. And be clear on that point. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome
She's
of this
killing him.
election is not to his liking. Let's turn the page on this. Let's
Trump,
not
turn
go
around.
back.
Do something.
Let's chart a
Let's
course
not go back.
for the future.
Okay,
and
what I
not
told
go
you.
backwards to the past.
let me just follow up
Were
here.
you better off? Don't just say,
It was
were you
a
better
different
off?
term, and it was a
Come on.
term that related to energy
Come on,
because they
go-
have destroyed our energy business. That was where
No!
bloodbath was.
You're
Also,
supposed to say,
on Charlottesville,
who-
that story has been, as
he
you would say,
takes
debunked.
every bait.
Laura Ingraham,
He takes
Sean
everyone.
Hannity, Jesse, all of these people, they covered it. If they go an extra sentence, they will see it was perfect. It was debunked in almost every newspaper, but they still bring it up, just like they bring 2025 up.
Go
They
back
bring all
to
of this
your
stuff up.
script.
I ask you this. You talk about the Capitol. Why
Is it
are we
better? Are
allowing
you better
these
off
millions
than
of
last
people
year
to
than you
come
are
through
now?
on the southern border? How come she's not doing anything? And I'll tell you what I would do, and I would be very
Oh,
proud to do it.
Word salad.
I would say we would both leave this debate right now.
Oh,
I'd
he's
like
walking
to
out.
see her go down to Washington, D.C. during this debate because we're wasting a lot of time. Go down
Uh-oh.
to, because she's been so bad, it's so ridiculous. Go down to Washington, D.C. and let her sign a bill to close up the
Jonathan,
border.
how'd you know
because
that?
they have the right to do
Surprised
it.
he's
They
at
don't
Walter
need
was saying-
bills.
he's talking
they
about
have
it now.
the right to do it. The president of the United States, you'll get him out of bed. You'll wake him up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You'll say, come on down to the office. Let's sign a bill. If he signs a bill that the border is closed, all he has to do is say it to the Border Patrol, who are phenomenal. If they do that, the
Pete,
border
the
is
fact check
closed.
only goes
Those
one way.
people are killing many people,
You are correct.
unlike J6.
They only
we talked
fact check
immigration
him.
here tonight. I do want to
That's
focus
true.
on this next issue to both of you because it really brings us
She
this
tricked
into
him
focus.
she
truth,
tricked him into playing
in these
checkers
times
while
that we're
she
living in.
finesses him in chess.
Mr. President,
Yes.
for 3.5 years
He has
after
taken all
you
the
lost
bait.
the 2020 election, you repeatedly
Everyone.
falsely claimed that you won, many times
Jesus,
saying you
falsely
won in a
claimed.
landslide. In the past
He's
couple
just
of weeks
attacking.
leading up to this debate, you have
Oh my
said,
God, they
quote,
won't
you
stop
lost by a
punching.
whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in
No, I
2020?
don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say that.
sarcastically.
But
You know
those-
that. It was said,
Oh,
oh, we lost by a
sarcastically.
whisker. That was said sarcastically. Look, there's so much proof. All
Sarcastically.
you have to do is look at it. And they should have sent it back to the legislatures for approval. I got almost 75 million votes, the most votes any sitting president has ever gotten. I was told if I got 63, which was what I got in 2016, you can't be beaten.
He
The election,
is just
people should
accustomed
never be thinking about
to
it. An
running
election is fraudulent. We need
his
two things. We
own-
need walls. And we have to have it. We have to have
Wow.
borders and we have to have good elections. Our elections are bad. And a lot of these illegal immigrants coming in,
you
they're
gotta
trying to get
start
them to
this
vote.
way, my
they
friend.
can't even
You
speak
can't start
English.
it.
They
You're
don't even
done.
know what country they're in practically. And these people are trying to get them to vote. And that's why they're allowing them to come into our country.
I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm. Lost by a whisker. We didn't quite make
Why
it.
don't you
And
shut
we
up,
should just point out
moderator?
here as clarification, and you know this.
Why?
You and your allies, 60 cases in front of many judges, many of them
No judge
Republican,
looked at it.
and said
They
there was
said
no
we didn't have standing.
Wow.
That's the
Moderator,
other thing.
shut up.
They
Just
said we
let
didn't
him-
have standing,
He's
a
just-
technicality. Can you
just
imagine
stop.
a system where a person in an election doesn't have standing? The president of the United States doesn't have standing. That's how we lost. If you look at the facts, and I'd love to have you do a special
Ignore
on
this.
it. I'll show you Georgia, and I'll show you Wisconsin, and I'll show you Pennsylvania. and
This
I'll
is
show you-
horrible.
We have so many facts and statistics, but you know
You're
what?
gonna-
That doesn't matter.
I would be
because we have to
shocked
solve the problem that
if
we have
Kamala
right
does
now.
not get-
That's
if Harris
old
does not get a
news.
big
And the
boost after
problem
this.
that we have right now is we have a nation in decline, and they have put it into decline. We have a nation that is dying, David.
Mr. President, thank you. Vice President Harris, you heard the president there tonight. He said he didn't say that he lost by a whisker. So he still believes he did not lose the election.
Jesus.
That was
Jesus.
won by President Biden
Jesus.
and yourself. But I do want to ask
Three
you about
versus
something
one,
that's
yes.
come up in the last couple of days.
And
This was a
Trump did-
post from
Trump didn't
President
prep for
Trump
this.
about this
Shame on
upcoming
him.
election just weeks
Or
away. He said, when I win,
on his
those
team.
people who cheated, and then he lists donors, voters, election officials, he says will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison
That's your
sentences.
next question?
One of your campaign's top lawyers responded saying, we won't let Donald Trump intimidate us. We won't let him suppress the vote. Is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
Wow.
Donald Trump was
So how
fired
bad
by
is Donald
81
Trump?
million people.
That's
So
the
let's be
question.
clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that.
So my
But
question
we
is,
cannot
why is Donald
afford
Trump
to
so
have a
terrible?
president of the United States who
Great question.
attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that
Lunatic. Told you,
I have
rhetoric and
traveled
propaganda.
the world as vice
were
president of
right
the
on
United
that.
States.
You were right.
And world leaders are laughing at
Have
Donald
any
Trump.
questions been
I have
answered?
talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you.
And
And
then
they
why?
say you're a
So this is the
disgrace.
second assassination attempt.
And when you
Nicely
then
done.
talk in this way,
This one was more
in a
effective, I think.
presidential debate, and deny
Yeah, you got
what
people on
over
that.
and over again are court
You're
cases
right.
you
Everyone's
have
on your side,
lost
Lunatic. You got this one. You're right.
because you did in fact lose that election. It leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have
Angie,
in the
you know it's
candidate
easier
to my
said
right
than done
the
to say the
temperament
right thing when you're being attacked.
or
Not
or
when
the
you've done
ability to not
seven
be confused
separate. This is
about
seventh
fact.
debate.
That's deeply
I do it.
troubling,
He
and
does
the
it. You're
American
president of the
people
United States.
deserve better.
Angie, no
I'll
excuse
give
in
you
this
1
one.
minute to respond. Mr.
He's
President.
got to
Let me
know.
just say about world leaders.
He's got to know.
Victor
said that-
Orban,
she
one
said
of the most respected
deserve
men.
again, by the way.
They call him
Deserve.
a strong man. He's a tough person, smart. Prime Minister of Hungary. They said, why is the whole world blowing up? 3 years ago, it wasn't. Why is it blowing up?
Mule.
He said
the thing I'm most
because
shocked
you
by is how
need
disgusting
Trump
price the moderators
back
are.
as
Not even trying to hide it.
president. They were
Yes,
afraid of him.
I see
China
why
was
Trump didn't want to
afraid,
come.
and I don't like to use
You're
the
right.
word afraid, but I'm
They're
just
bad.
quoting him. China was afraid of him. North Korea was afraid of him. Look at what's going on with North Korea, by the way. He said Russia was afraid of him. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and Biden put it back on day one, but he ended the XL pipeline. The XL pipeline in our country, he ended that, but he let the Russians build a
Angie,
pipeline
you're right,
going
but
all
you
over
got to be
Europe
ready
and
for it,
heading
is all I'm
into
saying.
Germany, the
You're-
biggest
I'm not saying
pipeline
you're
in the
wrong.
world. Look,
It's 100% true.
Victor Orban,
But you got to be ready
said
for
it.
this.
He said
That's
the
my
most
point.
respected, most feared
Either
person
didn't have a team
is
or he
Donald
didn't
Trump.
listen.
We
One or the
had
other.
no
You
problems
got to be
when
ready
Trump
for
was
this.
president.
That's all I'm saying.
But when this weak, pathetic man that you saw at a debate
They
just a
never
few months
answer
ago, that
questions.
if he
It's all
weren't in
rhetoric.
that
Yeah.
debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. What you did, you talk about a threat to democracy.
Mariah,
He got
yes,
14
prep
million
is
votes and they threw him
everything.
out of office.
And Harris
you know
is
what? I'll give you a
prepped.
little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her. But
Mr.
he got
President.
14 million votes. They threw him out. She
Mariah,
got
she was
zero
prepped.
votes. And when she ran, she was the first one to leave because she failed. And
How
now
does Trump
she's
handle
running.
this?
I don't
He
understand
stops
it, but I'm
answering
okay with it
questions
because
and
Your time is up.
focuses
I think we're
on
gonna
what
do
he
very
should have
well.
We've got
focused
a lot
on.
more to get to.
Economy.
Coming out to the
Were you
Israel-Hamas
better
war
off
and the hostages
now
who are still
than
being
4 years
held,
ago? That's how we
Americans
fix this,
among
Sarah,
them.
right now.
Vice President Harris, in December, you said, quote, Israel has a right to defend itself, but you added, quote, it matters how, saying international humanitarian law must be respected. Israel must do more to protect innocent civilians.
All right.
You said that
Got some on
9
this one,
months
maybe?
ago. Now an estimated 40,000 Palestinians are dead. Nearly 100 hostages remain. Just last week, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said there's not a deal in the making. President Biden has not been able to break through the stalemate. How would you do it?
Well, let's understand how we got here. On
No,
October 7th,
don't give me a history. Oh my God,
Hamas,
history lesson.
a
and-
terrorist
yes.
organization, slaughtered 1,200 Israelis.
All right.
Many of them young people
Blue Black
who were
Boss says
simply attending
JFK
a
Jr.
concert.
RFK Jr. and Tulsi are
Women
watching
were
this going,
horribly
no.
And so absolutely, I said then, I
That's
say
true.
now, Israel
Yep.
has a right to defend itself.
Harris
they
was
would,
well prepared, so the ABC moderators
and
doing their
how it
job were
does
quite
so
necessary.
matters.
Agreed, Rick.
Because
She was ready.
it
She was
is
ready.
also true, far too
Her
many
answers are every 2 minutes.
innocent
They're right on
Palestinians have
the
been
point.
killed.
She has
Children,
been prepped very
mothers.
well. This
What
is her
we know
prosecutor
is that
path
this
that I talked
war
about.
must
right?
end.
They
It
prep
must win
and they
end
say it perfectly
immediately.
to each
And the
one.
way it will end is we need a ceasefire deal and we need the hostages out. And so we will continue to work around the clock on that. Work around the clock, also understanding that we must chart a course for a two-state solution. And in that solution, there must be security for the Israeli people and Israel, and in equal measure for the Palestinians. But the one thing I will assure you always, I will
know.
always give Israel the ability to defend itself, in particular
have
as
to,
it relates to
'cause
as it
otherwise
relates to Iran and
they all
any
do.
threat that Iran and its
They freaking all
proxies
do.
pose to Israel. But we must have a two-state solution where we can rebuild Gaza, where the Palestinians have security, self-determination, and the dignity they so rightly deserve.
Didn't answer the question. Did her
President
2
Trump,
minute
how would
purpose.
you negotiate with Netanyahu and
she
also
didn't answer that
Hamas
question.
in order to get the hostages out and prevent the killing of more innocent civilians in Gaza?
If I were president, it would have never started. If I were president, Russia would have never, ever, I know Putin very well, he would have never, and there was no threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years, have gone into Ukraine and killed millions of people when you add it up, far worse than people understand what's going on over there. But when she mentions about Israel, all of a sudden, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech. She refused to be there because she was at a sorority party of hers. She wanted to go to the sorority party. She hates Israel. If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. And I've been pretty good
He's
at
not
predictions,
playing.
and I hope I'm wrong about that one. She hates Israel. At the same time, in her own way, she hates the Arab population because
hates everybody.
the whole place is going to get blown up. Arabs, Jewish people, Israel will be gone. It would have never happened.
She hates
Iran
everybody.
was broke under Donald Trump. Now Iran has $300 billion because they took off all the sanctions that I had. Iran had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah or any of the 28 different spheres of terror. And they are spheres of terror, horrible terror.
Spheres
They
of
had no
terror.
money. It was a big story, and you know it. You covered it very well, actually. They had no money for terror. They were broke. Now they're a rich nation.
Jonathan
and
says,
now
where are the
what they're
commercials?
doing
My
is
mind
they're
hurts and my
spreading that
beverage
money
is
around.
empty. You're not
Look
wrong,
at what's
Jonathan.
happening with the Houthis and Yemen.
water.
Look at what's going on in the Middle East. This would have never happened. I will get that settled and fast.
Neither
I'll
of
get
them answered the
war
question.
with Ukraine and Russia ended. If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people. He knows that. He's trying to, again, divide and distract from the reality, which is it is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well
he's
known
weak and wrong.
that he
Well
admires
known.
dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself. It is well known that he said
Sam
of
says,
Putin
how can't this even be
that
called a
he
debate, let alone a
can
moderated
do
one?
whatever the hell he wants and go into Ukraine. It is well known that he said when Russia went into Ukraine, it was brilliant. It is well known he exchanged love letters with Kim Jong-un. And it is absolutely
She's going to
well
lose the
known
pro-Hamas wing of her
that
party.
these
She already
dictators
lost
and
them.
autocrats are rooting for you to be president again because they're so clear. They can
Ryan, easiest way to
manipulate
create a
you
ceasefire,
with
stop sending them
flattery
weapons.
and favors.
They won't say
And
it.
that is why so many military leaders who you have worked with have told me you are a disgrace. That is
Wow.
why we understand
She's
that
wrecking
we have
him.
to have a president who is not consistently weak and wrong on
Vice
national
President
security,
Harris.
including the importance of upholding and respecting in highest regard our military.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
They're the ones, and she's the one that caused it, that's weak on national security by allowing every nation last month for the year, 168 different countries sending people into our country. Their crime rates are way down. Putin endorsed her last week, said, I hope she wins. And I think he meant it because what he's gotten
That's
away
true.
with is
Why did you
absolutely
start with that?
incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me.
She
The
put you
leaders
back
of
on your
other countries
heels,
think
and
that
you have,
they're weak
you have not been
and
able to recover.
incompetent, and they are. They're grossly incompetent. And I just ask one question. Why does Biden go in and kill the Keystone Pipeline and approve the single biggest deal that Russia's ever made, Nord Stream 2, the biggest pipeline anywhere in the world going to Germany and all over Europe? Because they're weak and they're ineffective. And Biden, by the way,
President
gets paid
Trump,
a lot of money.
Thank you. We have a lot of issues to get to.
We'll be right
Blue-
back
Blue
with
Black
much
Wall
more of
says-
this historic ABC
Oh, okay.
News presidential debate from the National Constitution Center right here in Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
There's your commercial debate. There's your commercial. All righty. Hope it's not. Sorry about that. Wasn't what I was trying to do. Just put the volume down. That's all. Guys, he's got to come back somehow. And I don't know how, but fast. He's got to come back. He's in trouble. If you are a Kamala supporter, I am sure you are happy as can be right now. Because she's wrecking him right now. Immediately, everything that he was saying in response, he should have led. Pinkabell, if you're still with us, I told you about how people sometimes an opening statement, he should have opened with all of that stuff and immediately come back. He took every bit of bait and wanted to fix everything versus staying on target. I brought this earlier. What did I say he's got to do? He's got to focus on, are you better off 4 years ago or now? He said it like one time. That should be all he says. Everyone says you're a bad guy. Okay, I'm a bad guy. Am I a bad guy where you're better off than you were 4 years ago? You're whatever, Putin, so-and-so. Okay, great. But are you better off than you were 4 years ago? That's what he should have been hammering home. And if someone can talk to him while this commercial's on, he needs to come back and hit only that, or he's in trouble. He took all the bait. She was trying to get under his skin, and she did. If you're a Trump supporter, I know you are not happy right now because he is not doing well. He is not. He's falling off his game. She got under his skin. And I told you all, she's absolutely a prosecutor. What do prosecutors do? If you know this, I've been in courtrooms. You guys know, you know my background. They literally memorize stuff and say it. No, she doesn't even have an or nothing. She has practiced this for literally weeks. She's been in the basement. Yes, she's been. I told you guys this. Remember, I told you when she did the interview. I said, now this was the prep. She's not going to be doing anything. She's going to be sitting here prepping for this debate every day. And I told you 4 hours a day. I think we're going to find out it was probably 4 hours a day. She was prepping for this for 4 hours a day. She knew exactly what to say, when to say it. It's all 2 minutes. It's totally prepped. All I can tell you is, like her or not, she prepped. Well done on her. She knew what she was doing. She came in prepped. And Trump was cocky. He thought, I don't have to do this. But he walked in thinking it was a rally. And it wasn't a rally. It was, it's 3 against 1. Clearly, it's 3 against 1. And to your earlier point, I know some of you are mad about me saying he should be ready for it. But he should have been ready for this. Like, he should have known it's going to be 3 against 1. He should have known it's going to be 3 against 1 and prepped for it. So, yes. Frank Perkins, there's like 192, I think. There's 190-something countries, not 168. He's saying 168 of them have sent people to us. Not every country has. There's about 192. So, yes. Mule says, Trump might as well just say he's rubber and she's glue at this point. Yes. So, and why Liberty? Nothing about Nordstrom getting blown up. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. MA Election Integrity says, I need a cigarette. Yes. Yeah. Missy says, I mistakenly believe it was only an hour debate. I feel attacked. No, hour and a half. We have another half hour of punishment, but it's fine. That's good. Alexa says, anyone else feel like vomiting? Or is it just the me thing? I don't think you're alone on this one. It's, yeah. Rocket Man, I knew it was rigged. Yes. I'm not trying to be flippant. Please don't be mad at me. I'm not trying to be flippant. All I'm saying is we understand that if you walk into this world, it's 3 against 1. Know it, be prepped for it, know what battle you're going in, right? I have not been on this stage, but I've been on large stages. You got to be ready for this. You have to expect it. That's really what it is too. Well, you run for president of the United States. I don't mean to be mean on this, but if you're running for president of the United States, you got to be ready for this. And he should know better. I think he was full of hubris because Harris is not that good off the cuff at all. And so she was heavily prepared. He wasn't. He was working and doing other things. And I think it really is, I think it's showing. So yes. Sarah says, how much longer is it? 90 more minutes. Yes. Craig says, we live in a corporatocracy. We give trillions to corporations and they make policy. Let's stop focusing on democracy. Let's stop focusing on democracy in the Constitutional Republic. I think you mean let's start doing it. And I'm with you on that one. Yes. I hope that's what you meant. So yes. MA says, Trump needs to bring up Unity Party. Yes, I agree. That was my point. You guys said it, and I told you he wouldn't do it. But he should have. You're absolutely correct. He should have. Absolutely. That would be the right answer. If he brought it up, things would be much better right now.
Mr. President of the Biden administration, that we must defend Ukraine from Russia, from Vladimir Putin, to defend their sovereignty, their democracy, that it's in America's best interest to do so, arguing that if Putin wins, he may be emboldened to move even further into other countries. You have said you would solve this war in 24 hours. You said so just before the break tonight. Yep. How exactly would you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple question tonight. Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
Oh,
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives
question to ask.
that are being uselessly, people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting with your fake numbers. Look, we're in for 250 billion or more. because they don't ask Europe, which is a much bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are.
True.
They're in for $150 billion less because Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe like I did with NATO. They paid billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars when I said, either you pay up or we're not going to protect you anymore. So that's maybe one of the reasons they don't like me as much as they like weak people. But you take a look at what's happening. We're in for 250 to 275 billion. They're into 100 to 150. They should be forced to equalize. With that being said, I
He's
want to
not wrong
get
on
the
that.
war
He's not wrong.
settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect your president, okay? They respect me. They don't respect Biden. How would you respect
Sam,
him? Why?
not one
For
harder
what reason?
question, Kamala,
He
not one
hasn't even
pushback,
made a
not one
phone
fact check
call
on
in
her.
2 years to Putin. Hasn't spoken to anybody.
Not wrong.
They don't even try and get it. That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president. If I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact, when I saw Putin after I left, unfortunately left because our country has gone to hell. But after I left, when I saw him building up soldiers, he did it after I left. I said, oh, he must be negotiating. It must be a good, strong point of negotiation. Well, it wasn't, because Biden had no idea how to talk to him. He had no idea how to stop it. And now you have millions of people dead, and it's only getting worse, and it could lead to World War III. Don't kid yourself, David.
World War III.
We're playing with World War III, and we have a president that we don't even know if he's, where is our president? We don't even know if he's a president.
And just to clarify
they
here,
threw him out of a campaign.
Oh,
like
he's
a
going to
dog.
clarify.
We don't even
So
know.
now he's going
Is
to
he our
fact check him
president?
again.
But we have
Wow.
a president
The
Mr. President,
only
that doesn't
fact
know
check
he's
him.
alive.
your time is up. Just to clarify in the question, do you believe it's in the U.S. best interest for Ukraine to win this war? Yes or no?
I think it's the U.S. best interest to get this war finished and just get it done.
All right.
Negotiate a deal, because we have to stop all of these human lives from being destroyed.
No,
I wanna
you
take
have
this
to
Vice
virtue
President
signal.
Harris, I want to get your thoughts
Sam
on
says,
support
thanks for
for
$2,
Ukraine
Sam.
in this
National
moment,
divorce?
but also as commander-in-chief, if elected. How would you deal with Vladimir Putin, and would it be any different from what we're seeing from
You're
President
there
Biden?
now. What do you mean? How
Well,
would you?
first
If
of
you're
all,
there
It's
now.
important to remind the former president you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me. I believe the reason that Donald Trump says that this war would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's understand what happened here. I
Uh-oh.
actually
Another history
met
lesson.
with Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded, tried through force to change territorial boundaries, to defy one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American intelligence
I'm not
about
sure
how
I
he
would
could
say that.
defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's
I'm
eastern
not sure I
flank,
would say that.
to Poland and Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support,
none of that's a good
because
thing.
of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins, the Abrams tanks that we have provided, Ukraine stands as an independent and free country. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European
Oh, he's
allies
going
and
to
our
attack
NATO
Poland
allies
and everything
are
else.
so
Of course he is.
thankful that you are no longer president, and that we
Yeah, 'cause they don't have
understand
to
the
pay
importance
anything.
of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would
good
be
story,
sitting in
though.
Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch?
Vice President Harris, thank you. We've heard from both of you on Ukraine tonight.
Oh,
Afghanistan
he won't
came
let
up in
her
the last
talk?
hour. I wanted her to
won't
respond to
let him
something you
resp-
said earlier, and now, please,
Wow.
I'll give you a minute here.
Putin would be sitting in Moscow, and he wouldn't have lost 300,000 men and women, but he would have been sitting in Moscow. Quiet, please. He would have been
Wow,
sitting
he's speaking.
in Moscow,
Sorry.
much happier than he is right now. But eventually, you know, he's got a thing that other people don't have. He's got nuclear weapons. They don't ever talk about that. He's got nuclear weapons. Nobody ever thinks about that. And eventually, maybe he'll use them, and maybe he hasn't been that threatening, but he does have that. Something we don't even like to talk about. Nobody likes to talk about it. But just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started.
That's what I'm
3 days
saying.
later,
That's
he
not
went
good.
in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She
Not
was
wrong on
the
that one.
emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky and Putin, and she did. And the war started 3 days later.
Vice
And
President-
that's the kind of talent we have with her. She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator. They sent her in to negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the invasion.
President Trump, thank you. You did bring up something. You said she went to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Yet again, I said it at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fellow. And that is another one. When I went to meet with President Zelensky, I've now met with him over 5 times. The reality is it has been about standing as America always should.
She's going to say rhetoric.
As a leader,
Alexa says, I work on a horse farm, and I'm literally cleaning up horse shit while I'm listening to this.
Who shows
Yet this video that's
strength,
making me nauseous right
understanding
now.
that the alliances we
Alexa.
have around the world are
Nice.
dependent on our ability to look out for our
Garrett,
friends.
thank you so much for the membership,
and
my
not
friend. Thank you.
favor our enemies because you adore strongmen instead of caring about democracy. And that is very much what is at stake here. The President of the United States is commander in chief, and the American people have a right to rely on a president who understands the significance of America's role and responsibility in terms of ensuring that there is stability and ensuring we stand up for our principles and not sell them for the benefit of personal flattery.
We've talked about Ukraine and Vladimir Putin. I do want to talk about
There's a
Afghanistan.
good chance
It came
that
up
Trump will
in
yet
the first
shuffle
hour
in
of
everything
this
you're
debate.
waiting for him to.
I
Okay,
want to
maybe.
move on to Afghanistan.
He's still
Said
shooting to
Trump
lose
did
this
the most
debate and win the next
amazing
one.
thing I've ever seen. He got these countries, the 28 countries at the time, to pay up. He said, I've never seen. He's the head of NATO. He said, I've never seen. For years, we were paying almost all of NATO. We were being ripped off by European nations, both on trade and on NATO. I got them to pay up by saying one of the statements you made before, if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you.
President
Otherwise,
Trump.
we would have never gotten it. He said it was one of the most incredible
He
jobs
should say no
that
one
he's
wins a
ever
war.
seen
Oh,
done.
Thank
Pete,
you.
that
I
was
wanna
a
turn
very
to
good one.
Afghanistan.
I like
It came
that.
up in the first hour of the debate, and we witnessed a poignant moment today on Capitol Hill, honoring the soldiers who died
Mariah
in the
says,
chaotic withdrawal
to
from
think
Afghanistan.
Bobby fell in
I
his
do want
sword
to
for
ask
this.
the Vice
We're
President,
screwed.
do
There's
you
a lot of
believe
people
you bear
thinking that,
any
Mariah.
responsibility in the way that withdrawal played out?
Well, I will tell you, I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. 4 presidents said they would, and Joe Biden did. And as a result, America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day we were paying for that endless war. And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century. But let's understand how we got to where we are. Donald Trump, when he was president, negotiated one of the weakest deals you can imagine. He calls himself a deal maker. Even his national
That was
security
his-
advisor said
I finally
it was
figured out
a
what
weak,
OMB,
terrible deal. And here's how it went
Orange
down.
Man Bad.
He
Yes.
bypassed the Afghan government. He negotiated directly with a terrorist organization called the Taliban. The negotiation involved the Taliban getting 5,000 Taliban terrorists released. And get this, and the president at the time invited the Taliban to Camp David, a place of storied significance for us as Americans, a place where we
Reagan brought them
honor
in.
the importance of American diplomacy.
talking
where
about?
We invite and receive respected world leaders. And this
Reagan did that.
former president, as president, invited them to Camp David because he does not again appreciate the role and responsibility of the president of the United States to be commander in chief with a level of respect. And this gets back to the point of how he has consistently disparaged and demeaned members of our military, fallen soldiers, and the work that we must do to uphold the strength and the respect of the United States of America around the world.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, your response to her saying that you began the negotiations with the Taliban.
So if you take a look at that period of time, the Taliban was killing our soldiers, a lot of them, with snipers. And I got involved
meet with
with the
Putin.
Taliban.
Yeah.
Because the Taliban was doing the killing. That's the fighting force within Afghanistan. They don't bother doing that because, you know, they deal with the wrong people all the time.
Russia.
I got
again,
involved. And Abdul is the head of the Taliban. He is still the head of the Taliban. And I told Abdul, don't do it anymore. You do it anymore, you're going to have problems. And he said, why do you send me a picture of my house? I said, you're going to have to figure that out, Abdul. And for 18 months, we had nobody killed. We did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The reason it was good, it was we were getting out. We would have been out faster than them, but we wouldn't have lost the soldiers. We wouldn't have left many Americans behind, and we wouldn't have left. We wouldn't have left.
Man, no man.
$85
RFK
billion
is probably in the bathroom
worth of brand
puking.
new, beautiful
But this is
military
where he
equipment
actually
behind.
shines.
And just to finish,
I mean, I got to tell you,
they
Trump. This
blew
is
it.
the
the agreement
Trump is
said
shining
you have
here.
to do this,
He
this,
should have
this,
led with this.
and they didn't do it. They didn't do it. The agreement was terminated by us because they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I want to move on.
And these people did the worst withdrawal, and in my opinion, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And by the way, that's why Russia attacked Ukraine, because they saw how incompetent she and her boss are.
President Trump, thank you. I want to move on now to race and politics in this country. Mr. President, you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. I want to ask a bigger picture question here tonight. Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent?
Why are you a racist?
I don't care what she is.
Oh.
I don't care. You make a big deal out of something. I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
But those were your
That
words.
was the right
I'm
answer.
asking-
I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black, that she put out. And I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
Vice President Harris, your thoughts on this?
Shelley, you did call this one.
I
You're
think
right,
it's,
Shelley.
I mean, honestly,
right.
I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career,
Here come the
attempted
ist.
to use race to divide the American people.
There we go. He's an ist
You know,
man.
I do believe that the vast majority of us know that we have so much more in common than what separates us, and we don't want this kind of approach that is just constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was land, he owned buildings, and he was investigated because he refused to rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young Black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5. Took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual who
this one, you're
spread
right. She's not ready
birther
for this
lies
one.
about the first Black
Brian,
president
you're right.
of the United
She's
States.
not. She's just kind of.
And I
She
think
thought
the
she could handle
American
this easier,
people
and it's easy for
want
her.
better than that.
He stumbles in the
better than
race. He
this.
doesn't do race very well.
Want someone who understands, as I do, I travel our country.
Yeah. Trump does not do well
We
in this.
see in each
He's
other
doing better than
a
before the
friend.
break.
We
He
see
calmed
in
down.
each other a neighbor. We don't want a leader who is constantly trying to have Americans point their fingers
And once the first
at each
it comes
other.
out, all the
I meet
isms
with
come
people
next.
all the time.
You're not wrong.
Who
You're
tell
not
me,
wrong.
can we please just have discourse about how we're going to invest in
Dave,
the aspirations
Kamala Harris kept
and the
an innocent man on
ambitions and
death
the
row
dreams of the American
and kept
people.
black men in
Knowing
slave
that
conditions in
regardless
California.
of people's
But
color
Trump isn't
or
saying
the
any of
language
that.
their grandmother speaks, we all have the same
None
dreams
of
and
that.
aspirations and want a president who
Trump
invests
didn't
in
prep for
those,
this.
not in hate and division.
Vice President Harris, thank you. Lindsay?
President Trump, this is now your 3rd time.
This is the most divisive presidency in the history of our country. There's never been anything like it. They're destroying our country, and they come up with things like what she just said. Going back many, many years, when a lot of people, including Mayor Bloomberg, agreed with me on the Central Park Five, they admitted, they said, they pled guilty. And I said, well, if they pled guilty, they badly hurt a person, killed a person ultimately.
Roy
And
says,
if they
and he
pled
lied
guilty,
thinking
then
Obama
they
was
pled
American. I
not
remember
guilty.
that, Roy.
But this is a person that has to stretch back years, 40,
I wish
50
he'd go full
years
Tulsi
ago.
on her.
Because
Yes.
there's nothing now. I built one of the greatest economies
He
in the
defends
history
himself
of the
too much,
world,
Rick.
and I'm going to build it again.
He
It's gonna
defends
be bigger,
himself too
better,
much.
and stronger. But they're destroying our economy. They have no idea what a good economy is. Their oil policies, every single policy. And remember this, she is Biden. You know, she's trying to get away from Biden. I don't know the gentleman, she says. She is Biden. The worst inflation we've ever had, a horrible economy because inflation has made it so bad, and she can't get away with that.
Jonathan, there was no Tulsi prep. I didn't see Tulsi in this at all.
Briefly. Clearly, I am not Joe Biden.
No.
And I am certainly not Donald Trump. And what I do offer is a new generation of leadership for our country. One who believes in what is possible, one who brings a sense of optimism.
He needs to get up the defense and the
about
offense.
what we can do
100%.
instead of always disparaging
Thomas, you're right.
the American people.
Missy,
I
this
believe
cannot
in
end
what
soon
we
enough.
can do to strengthen our small businesses, which is why I have a plan. Let's talk about our plans. And
You had
and
time
let's
all to
compare the
answer a
plans.
question,
I have a plan
but you haven't.
to give startup businesses $50,000 tax deduction, to pursue their ambitions, their innovation, their ideas, their hard work. I have a plan,
I doubt we have that much in common anymore.
$6,000
Yeah.
for young families for the first
Joel,
year of
why
your
a
child's
moderator is
life,
fact checking
to
one side.
help you
Also true.
in that most critical
Yep.
stage of your child's development. I have
Roy,
a
but he
plan
can't do that without attacking
that is
racist
about
ability military status
allowing
something.
people to
But
be
he'd
able
be
to
better off
pursue
doing it, Roy.
what has been fleeting
you're
in
a
terms
lawyer.
of the American dream.
You know when
by
you got to go on
offering
offensive to win.
help with down
He's not
payment of
going offensive at all.
$25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. That's
Michael,
the kind
word
of
salad versus
conversation I
word soup.
believe, David, that people really want tonight,
You called
as
it.
opposed to a conversation that is constantly about belittling and name calling. Let's turn the page
Vice President
and move
Harris,
forward.
thank you. Let's turn to policy.
President
Let's
Trump,
turn back
we
to
have
policy.
to move on. President Trump.
Let's turn to policy,
She has
please.
a plan to defund the police. She has a plan to confiscate everybody's gun.
President Trump,
She
we
has
do
a
have to
plan
move
to
on to
not
other
allow
issues.
Don't take
fracking in
everybody's gun.
Pennsylvania or anywhere else.
Okay.
That's
Mr.
what her
President.
plan is until just recently.
I just need
Lindsay,
to
go ahead.
respond.
President Trump,
No, the
President
former
Trump.
president has
No,
said
I'm
something
sorry.
twice that I need to
No,
respond to.
I'm sorry. We're
I
gonna
just need to
move
respond
on, Vice
one
President
time
Harris.
to what he has
President
said
Trump, this
multiple
is
times.
now
That's
your
good.
third time running
And she
for
says,
president. You have
I've never
long
thought Trump
vowed
would get
to
loved like
repeal
this.
and replace the
I did
Affordable
warn you
Care
guys,
Act,
if you watch the
also known
pregame
as
show,
Obamacare. You have failed
I
to
mentioned this in the
accomplish that.
pregame show.
You now say you're
I
going to
mentioned
keep
this.
Obamacare, quote, unless we can do something much better. Last month, you said, quote, we're working on it. So tonight, 9 years after you first started running, do you have a plan? And can you tell us what it is?
Obamacare was lousy health care, always was. It's not very good today. And what I said, that if we come up with something, and we are working on things, we're going to do it and we're going to replace it. But remember this, I inherited Obamacare because Democrats wouldn't change it. They wouldn't vote for it. They were unanimous. They wouldn't vote to change it. If they would have done that, we would have had a much better plan than Obamacare. But the Democrats came up, they wouldn't vote for it. I had a choice to make when I was president. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, never going to be great, or do I let it rot? And I felt I had an obligation, even though politically it would have been good to just let it rot and let it go away. I decided, and I told my people, the top people, and they're very good people. I have a lot of good people in that administration. We read about the bad ones. We had some real bad ones too, and so do they. They have really bad ones. The difference is they don't get rid of them. But let me just explain. I had a choice to make. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, or do I let it rot? And I saved it. I did the right thing. But it's still never going to be great, and it's too expensive for people. And what we will do is we're looking at different plans. If we can
not
come
prepared.
up with a plan that's going to cost our people, our
He
population,
came in cocky. He's
less
going to regret
money
this
and
shit.
be better health care than Obamacare, then I would absolutely do it. But until then, I'd run it as good as it can be run.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan.
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now. But if
Oh,
we come up with something, I would only change it if we come up with something that's better and
oh
less
my God.
expensive.
She knows
And
she's
there are
crushing him.
concepts and options we have to
Thomas
do
says,
that.
attack
And
her
you'll be hearing about it in the not too
prosecutorial
distant
record,
future.
her
Vice President Harris, in
senatorial record, her
2017,
tie-breaking
you
votes.
supported Bernie
Tom,
Sanders'
you're right.
proposal to do away with private insurance and create a government-run healthcare system. 2 years
Oh,
later, you
yes.
proposed a plan that included a private insurance option.
All right,
What is your
Medicare
plan
for all.
today?
Well, first of all, I absolutely support, and over the last 4 years as vice president, private healthcare options. But what we need to do is maintain and grow the Affordable Care Act. But I'll get to that, Lindsay. I just need to respond to a previous point
Uh-oh.
that the former president has made. I've made very clear my position on fracking. And then this business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this stuff. As it relates to the Affordable Care Act, understand, just look at the history to know where people stand. When Donald Trump was president, 60 times he tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. 60 times. I was a senator at the time.
Democrats,
When
Republicans have
I will never
concepts of a plan.
forget the early morning hours when
Yep.
it was up for a vote in the United States Senate. And the late, great John McCain, who you have disparaged as being,
Lori says she's
you don't
she's
like
hitting back
him,
when
you
Biden
said
just sat
at
there.
the time.
You're right.
because
She's on
he got
offense and he's
caught.
not.
He was an American
You're
hero.
right, Roy.
The late, great John McCain, I will never forget that night, walked onto the Senate floor and said, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't get rid of the Affordable Care Act. You have no plan. And what the Affordable Care
Nina
Act
says,
has
"Don't
done
forget, like and
is
subscribe."
eliminate
She
the
is
ability
correct. Please
of
like and
insurance
subscribe.
companies to
Yes.
deny people with pre-existing conditions. I don't have to tell the people watching tonight, you remember what that was like? Remember when an insurance company could deny if a child had asthma, if someone was a breast cancer survivor, if a grandparent had diabetes?
These are the
And
hits.
thankfully, as I've been vice president and we over the last 4 years have strengthened the Affordable Care Act, we have allowed for the first time Medicare to negotiate drug prices on behalf of you, the American people. Donald Trump said he was going to allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices. He never did. We did. And now we have capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. Since I've been vice president, we have capped the cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000
This is
a
nice.
year.
She takes
And
charge
when
of
I
when
am
it's good and
president,
not what's bad.
we will
It's
do
actually
that
good.
for all people, understanding that
She's
the
good.
value I bring to this
She's doing
is
a good
that
job.
access to health care should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it. And the plan has to be to strengthen the Affordable Care Act, not get rid of it,
Vice
pass as
President
prologue
Harris,
in
thank
terms
you.
of where Donald Trump stands on that.
I want to move to an issue
Well,
that's important for a
She
lot
made a
of
mistake. Number one, John McCain fought Obamacare for 10 years, but it wasn't only him. It were all of the Democrats that kept it going. And you know what? We can do much better than Obamacare, much less money, but she won't improve private insurance for people, private medical insurance. That's another thing she doesn't want to get.
President
People
Trump-
are paying privately for insurance
Unwashed Sword
that have
says
worked hard
her gun
and
policy on
made
the
money,
website calls
and they
for
wanna
banning
have
assault
private-
weapons.
She wants
anyone
everybody to
answered
be
that
on
one?
government
Yeah.
insurance where you wait
Absolutely.
6
Yes.
months for an operation that you need immediately.
President Trump, thank you. We have another
Jonathan
issue that
says,
we'd
"Thank
like
you
to
for
get
the
to that's
420.
important for a number of
Thank-
Americans.
be sure
in
to thank
particular
Larry for his
younger voters,
commentary.
and that's
Yes, you
climate
can do
change.
that
President
by
Trump, with
clicking the
regard
like
to the
button,
environment, you say
sharing,
that
and
we have to have
subscribing.
clean air and clean water. Vice President Harris, you
Uh-oh.
call climate change an existential threat.
Clean air, clean
the question
water.
to you both tonight is
Uh-huh.
what would you do to fight
Here's your
climate
chance.
change? And Vice President Harris,
Uh-huh.
to start with you, 1 minute for you each.
Well, the former president had said the climate change is a hoax. And what we know is that it is very real. You ask anyone who lives in a state who has experienced these extreme weather occurrences, who now is either being
It's the
denied
time.
home insurance or it's being jacked up. You ask anybody who has been
Thank you,
the
Sam.
victim of what that means in terms of losing their home, having nowhere to go. We know that we can actually deal with this issue. The young people of America care deeply about this issue. And I am proud that as vice president over the last 4 years, we have invested $1 trillion in a clean energy economy, while we have also increased domestic gas production to historic levels. We have created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs while I have been vice president. We have invested in clean energy to the point that we are opening up factories around the world. Donald Trump said he was going to create manufacturing jobs. He lost manufacturing jobs. And I'm also proud to have the endorsement of the United Auto Workers and Sean Fain, who also know that part of building a clean energy economy includes
Okay.
investing in
Orange
American
needs to talk about food,
products,
soil, and water
American
safety
automobiles.
that
It
RFK
includes
pushed. Now is your
growing
time.
what we can do
Will he do
around
it?
American manufacturing
I
and
already
opening
said
up
he
auto
won't.
plants,
So
not
see if I'm
closing
right.
them like happened
Here's his
under Donald
chance.
Trump.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
That didn't happen under Donald Trump. Let me just tell you, they lost 10,000 manufacturing
Come on,
jobs
don't fight
this
them.
last month. It's going.
Come on,
they're
do
all
Maha
leaving.
right now.
They're building big auto plants in Mexico, in many cases owned
Maha
by
right
China.
now.
They're building these massive plants, and they think they're going to sell their cars into the United States because of these people. What they have given to China is unbelievable. But we're not going to let that. We'll put tariffs on those cars so they can't come into our country, because they will kill the United Auto Workers and any auto worker, whether it's in Detroit or South
on.
Carolina or
You're
any other
losing
place.
time.
What they've done to business and manufacturing in this country is horrible. We have nothing because they
now.
refuse. You know, Biden doesn't go after people because supposedly
Stop
China paid
defending
him millions
yourself.
of dollars. He's afraid to do it. Between him and his son, they get all this money from Ukraine. They get all this money from all of these
went to
different
Ukraine.
countries.
Don't go
And
to
then you wonder,
Ukraine.
why is he so loyal to this one, that one, Ukraine, China? Why is he? Why did he get $3.5 million from
No.
the mayor of Moscow's wife? Why did he get? Why did
He's
she
lied
pay him
to. Thank you.
$3.5
Love the commentary. Go
million
Maha.
dollars? This is a crooked.
This was a health and environment
administration,
question.
and
Wanda
they're
This World
selling
says,
our
yes, it
country
was.
down the tubes.
President
And you're
Trump,
not-
thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with closing
No!
statements from both of
That
our
was your
candidates. An historic
chance!
night, this ABC News presidential debate.
That was
from
literally your
Philadelphia.
chance. You didn't bring up Tulsi when it came to the war. You didn't bring up RFK Jr. when it came to health. You blew
The
it.
ABC News presidential debate will continue after this.
Literally, that was his shot right there. RFK Jr. is crying right now. Yes, I'm crying now. This was your shot. This was your shot. Man, Jessica, I'm so disappointed. Yeah. Oh my God. He could have he could have brought on Tulsi when it came to the war. He could have brought up RFK Jr. when it came to this, and he didn't. But you know what? There was one thing I was not right on, right? And this was Morgan. Morgan said that he'd bring up race first. I thought he wouldn't. So I was wrong on that one. Everything else I told you was right. He did not focus where he should have focused on. And I told you he wouldn't bring up the unity at all. I said he wouldn't bring it up. He wouldn't bring up Maha at all. I told you he wouldn't. I told you he wouldn't bring up RFK Jr. or Tulsi because that's not who he is. That's his personality. He wouldn't do it. And that was the perfect time to do it. He could have built all that up. He did not share anything with his team at all. He did not do it. And he had an opportunity to do so. He didn't. That was not good. Yes. Roy says, you may not like what she's saying, but she's not ramming. I always give credit where credit is due. I am not a fan of Harris at all. I've been very clear about that. Right? I'm not a fan. You're right, Roy. But she was prepared. There's no, I can't take away her prep. She prepped. She was ready for this. She was ready for this. 100% true. You're right. So, and I'm not a fan, but I can still say it. I can still say it. So Sam says Trump D, Kamala F, Moderates F, Larry. But thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam. This is my first time doing this stuff live with this. I usually don't do that. But yes. Sarah says Trump may have prepped, but he makes it. No, Sarah, Trump didn't prep for this. I can tell, right? And here's what I'll tell you. He didn't prep because he didn't even bring up things. When he does his own thing, he preps, but then goes off, right? So he'll prep 2 points, whatever, and then go on his own. He did not do that. Trump came in thinking this was going to be easy because, look, to be forward, Harris did, or I don't think Harris figured this out, but her team literally did 3D chess, 4D chess. They did. I'm going to be very fair. I'm going to give the team credit. They let her go out with her dad for that interview. So you couldn't see the good stuff that she was prepping on. And she looked very mediocre. And the Trump team said, we're awesome. We will destroy her. No chance. I don't do anything. I've been doing this. They were talking trash. I've been doing this all this time, blah, blah. And the Harris team was saying, Look, this is his 7th one. It's her first. They were lowering expectations the whole time in the press. Meanwhile, feeding that up to the Trump people who were buying it. Meanwhile, they were sitting there 4 hours every day, her prepping. Did you see her stuff? 2 minutes, perfect. Every single thing perfect. She was completely prepared. She was completely prepared. If in any way they do it again, he better be better prepared, because she was. If I was her, no more debates. There is no way out of any debates at all. If I'm her, I'm like, done. No more debates. We're done. Brian says, Larry, you're the next best thing to another debate with RFK. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. So it just, wow. Yes, Joel, no one won, we all lost. You're not wrong on that one, Joel. You're not wrong on that one. Guys, I want to say something. Please, if you have not clicked the like button, please, wherever you're watching this, that like button matters so much. It's how people see this. Please, just click it. If you're watching on Twitter or Facebook, retweet this right now. Do it. Subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe if you haven't done that also. If you want to super chat me, feel free. I'd love to do it if you're watching on Larry Sharpe YouTube. If you want to become a member, we do more of this, I can. Click join, $5 a month. I do more and more and more of this and less working. That will be great. Let's do this so I can keep this going. It does matter. All right. You will watch Harris. Her closing statement will be on the money because she's been prepping. His will ramble because now he's trying to recover. They got Trump on the run. His closing statement will ramble. Hers will not. Hers is prepped. She knows exactly what she's going to say. She said it like 45 times already. I'm exaggerating 45, but she's already said that this thing
and Lindsay
a lot.
Davis.
Welcome back tonight. The time has come for closing statements, and Vice President Harris.
Agreed. Yes.
So I think you've heard tonight two very different visions for our country. One that is focused on the future,
Yep.
and the other that is focused on the past.
Yep.
And an attempt to take us backward. But we're not going back. And I do believe that the American people know we all have so much more in common than what separates us. And we can
That's her
chart
stuff.
a new way forward.
Not going back.
And a vision of that includes having a plan, understanding the aspirations, the dreams, the hopes, the ambition of the American people, which is why I intend to create an opportunity economy, investing in small businesses, in new families, in what we can do around protecting seniors, what we can do that is about giving hardworking folks a break and bringing down the cost of living. I believe in what we can do together that is about sustaining America's standing in the world and ensuring that we have the respect that we so rightly deserve, including respecting our military and ensuring we have the most lethal fighting force in the world. I will be a president that will protect our fundamental rights and freedoms, including the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. I'll tell you, I started my career as a prosecutor. I was a DA, I was an attorney general, a United States senator, and now vice president. I've only had one client, the people. And I'll tell you, as a prosecutor,
wow,
I
she's
never
hit every one of her things.
A victim
one client,
or a witness,
the people.
are you a Republican or a Democrat? The only thing I ever ask them, are you okay?
You deserve kudos for that one, Larry. Yep.
And that's the kind of president we need right now. Someone who cares about you and is not putting themselves first.
All right. Dear God, that Trump mentioned this new team going up against corporate capture. Wouldn't that be amazing?
And focus on what we can do over the next 10 and 20 years to build back up our country by investing right now in you, the American people.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump.
Right. So she just started by saying she's going to do this.
Yep,
she's
he's
gonna
rambling.
Do that. She's going to do
he's
all
rambling.
these
I told you.
things. Why?
I told you.
Hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years
rambling.
to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it.
She
and
was
you
so
won't do
prepped,
it
it's so obvious.
because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like
set up.
We're not going to frack. We're not going to take fossil fuel. We're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not.
At all for a closing
Germany
statement.
tried that, and within 1 year they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world, they're laughing. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She
right,
gave
John. It
a
has been
lot of it
painful.
away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan.
Sounds like a bitter
What
Uncle
these
Roy. Very
people
funny.
have done to our country,
good.
and maybe toughest of all is allowing millions of people to come
Jessica,
into our country.
Trump,
Many
what
of
the
them
F?
are criminals, and
You
they're
screwed this up.
destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice
Where's the
president
hope and
in the
where's the
history
Make
of
America
our
Great
country.
again?
President
Nothing
Trump,
positive.
Thank you. And
No
that
Make
is our
America
ABC
Great
News
again.
presidential debate
No-
from here
no
in
Make
Philadelphia
America
at the
Healthy
National
again.
Constitution Center.
Nothing.
I'm Lindsay Davis.
And I'm David Muir. Thank you for watching here in the U.S. and all over the world, and from all of us here at ABC News. Good night.
Trump came completely undone tonight. Yes. Adrian, thank you so much for the $3 super sticker. Thank you.
And
Appreciate
we
that.
are here live on ABC with our post-debate comments. I'm Martha
Jesus
Raddatz.
Christ.
It
All
was a
right.
lively debate from the economy to abortion.
Is
to
ABC going to say they did
Afghanistan.
well or not?
They had it all.
What are they gonna
and
say?
It was historic, John Carl.
Historic.
Fiery.
Wow.
Didn't say Maha once.
Wow. That was
It was
that
only
quite a
fear.
debate. And I'm Jonathan Carl here with, of course,
Wow.
Mary Bruce and Rachel Scott. Our reporters across the news division
This is
have been
terrible.
updating our live blog, looking at some of the allegations made back and forth, doing
Ryan,
fact
she
checks.
mopped
You
the
can
floor with
find
Trump.
all of that on
Yes.
abcnews.com.
Absolutely.
But I would like
Makes
to
the stage
replay
right.
the moment at
Mariah.
the very start of this debate.
Thanks, Larry. You appreciate
because it was quite a
it.
moment.
Yes. Oh,
The
this is the
handshake.
reason?
And if you
Kamala
look,
Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Kamala Harris.
Thank you.
I mean,
That was
quite
what
a
mattered?
moment. First of all, because we hadn't seen a handshake. We hadn't seen a handshake in
And
a
she
long time.
initiated that one.
And
Yes,
not,
she
I mean,
did.
not only did she
Immediately.
initiate it, she walked over to him and sought him out, put the hands out,
Yes.
and also made the first words.
And probably had a plan if he hadn't
yeah,
put his hand out either.
interesting. So,
Well,
so more at the bottom line. What did you think?
I
What's
think
the bottom line?
clearly what Kamala Harris wanted to do was be the candidate of hope, the candidate of
Yes.
the future. Donald
Yep.
Trump seemed angry within 4
Yep.
minutes. I think we saw him going from very serious
He
at
says
the beginning. never really
ABC's
seemed
happy
to
with their
look at her,
performance. They are.
to
People are like, we did
just
a good job.
angry. I mean, really
About
yelling
everybody.
at
Yes.
some points,
You're
trying
right.
to make his points. I don't
Absolutely
think
true.
we heard a lot of policy and plans on either side of that.
You guys are
despite
great.
those
Sam says, why did they do
questions over and
post-debate
over again.
comments?
But what
They
you
did it in the
had was that
moderation.
optic.
You're
You
not
had
wrong.
Kamala Harris looking
You're not
over,
wrong.
baiting him
Absolutely.
again and again and
John is
again.
like, voting Oliver.
The
There we go.
microphones were
Yep.
muted when they weren't speaking.
Sarah's
but
like,
many
gross.
times she didn't need a microphone. You watch Donald Trump get mad. And
He says
scowl through
ABC
things.
won the debate.
And, you know, John, we were all talking
You're not
leading
wrong,
up
man.
to this about how
You
this
are
would
not
go,
wrong.
what Donald Trump you would
Absolutely.
see. I think he had a plan for talking
After this,
about
I'm gonna
what
look at the
he
debate commentary
saw
from Jill
as,
Steinkorn.
as,
Oh,
as
yeah.
the next,
It's not
as
bad.
the next term.
It's not bad.
But then he was
Yep.
talking about rumors about
Hold on.
people
Trump's-
eating
Trump
their
was 90%
neighbors'
whine and
pets. So
complain.
he really devolved
10% I'm
it.
gonna redo my
look,
first 4
Kamala
years.
Harris didn't really explain some of the big questions that were out
Right.
there about
Hold on.
why she
Doreen
changed
says,
her policy
I must
views
have
on
watched
so
the
many
debate
things.
than some
Part
of
the
you.
reason
Trump
is
crushed
Donald
this
Trump
on
really
their
was
record
not
alone.
effective in bringing the debate to her. I agree.
Doreen,
I
if you-
think that he looked
I'm going to,
not just angry, but also
Yes.
rattled.
that's
And
the point,
in
Doreen.
contrast,
This
Harris,
guy's
who,
right
again,
when he
much
says
of the
this.
world doesn't know. Harris
he
looked like
looked
she belonged on
terrible.
the stage. Looked
He
like
looked great.
she
That's just true.
is somebody that could serve as president.
Doreen, he
And
looked
that is
bad.
certainly how the campaign
That's
is
a
feeling
fact.
tonight. I can tell you, the Harris
No.
campaign feels
Voting
very
Chase.
good. They feel they had a very strong night.
that
That
inning
she
was
was
not
in
good for
command,
him.
that she did look
Yes.
presidential, and that
I'm
she
gonna pull
was
this
able,
off,
they
guys.
feel.
What I mean by this, and what I'm saying by this is, look, debates. Did I agree with everything she said during? No, of course not. But that isn't the point, right? How did she look? What did she say? How did she beat him up? Yes, she looked like she manhandled him. That's what matters, right? It looks like she manhandled him. That's the issue. You might say to yourself, hey, wait a minute, right? But she was wrong on this, or he was right on that, or she was wrong on this. So what? So what? They only did the fact checking on Trump. Everything was prepped. Basically, the questions were, so Trump, why are you so horrible? And the next question goes to Harris. Harris, I'm curious. We all know Trump's horrible. Why is he so horrible? That was what it was, and that's fine. And again, my point, not that I'm okay with that. My point is, if you walk into that, you got to know what you're walking into, right? And NY Liberty says she performed amazingly well. She did. I'm not voting for Harris, but I can still say she did good. She did well. She beat him. If I am Trump, I'm trying to get another debate. If I'm Harris, I want another debate. I'm sorry, if I'm Trump. If I'm Harris, I'm never debating again. Never debating again at all. All right, somebody wants me to check other ones. Let me see what we got going on here. See if we got some other stuff here. What about this one? Is this still going on? Let's see if we got, is this going? Maybe it's not. Okay. Hold on, is that over? Some of you, do we know if we have any, hold on, see if I can get any more here. How about this one? Nope, that's not it. Does anybody, let me try, oh, I want to see that one already. All right. I will look, if you guys care, I'll look and see if I can find if Fox News is doing something on it, if anyone's got anything else going on. All right. Oh, no. There is, I don't see anything. If someone has where you want me to go, I'm happy to go do it again and check something else out if you want to. So anyway, Sarah says, oh, it's laughing at her. I'm sorry. There we go. All right. Ron says, all I can think about is RFK's intentions. Yeah, look, does this change things? I don't know. I don't know. John says, Larry's in any room in your bunker. Yeah, let's go. Yes, there we go. Everybody got to come into the bunker. Let's go do that. Absolutely. Wendy says, she did better than I thought, but she's still a moron. Look, I'm not a fan, right? I think you're right, Wendy. I'm not a fan, even when she was copying his policy. And that was one thing she did well. She actually copied his policies, acted like, it was hers. And he was so busy trying to fight. The thing about being debates, you guys may not know this, when someone throws you, if it's me, right? If it's me and I'm, for those of you who know, I've actually done debate prep with some people. So when you do debate prep, when someone's throwing you off, you have to be able to get back, right? So if she says, you're this or you're that, what Trump should have done, and he failed at this miserably, what he failed at was doing the, whatever, it doesn't matter. Whatever you say, who cares? Oh, I'm a felon or I'm a whatever. Fine. Are you better or worse off than you were 4 years ago? That's what he should have done every other time. But he was so busy trying to fight everything. That's wrong. That was a lie. That's fake. That's this. He fell into all her traps. And the worst part is she knew it. She was smirking so much. You guys even mentioned her smirking. She was smirking because she knew she was winning. She's a prosecutor. She's been through this before. She knows when the witness is cracking. She knows that. She saw it. And when that was happening, she got happier and he got angrier because he hated the fact that he knew it was happening. That was it. Mike comes in and says, Trump won his president. You are smoking crack. You are smoking crack. He did not win at all. Not even close. Trump got his ass whipped. It wasn't even close. He got his ass whipped. It was not even close. He was angry. He allowed her to throw him. Wasn't even close. I don't mean, look, even Grace says it. Yep. Donald Trump fell into her traps. But she got mad. He got mad. Did I miss something? Yes, Grace, she avoided the questions, but so did he. They all avoided the questions. None of them answered questions. It was obvious that the moderators were all about trying to hammer Trump. It was terrible. They completely tried to hammer Trump, and he fell for it, and she took advantage of it. Of course she did. Absolutely. But none of them actually did it, right? Clear says he dodged one bullet. Kamala's hit the target. He dodged one bullet. I don't know what that means. I'm not sure where you're going with that one. Yeah. Video collection says he won't do Maha because it leaves Kennedy to promote Maha. Yeah, but he should have promoted his entire team. He did not promote his team. He didn't bring up Tulsi. He didn't bring up Elon Musk. He didn't bring up RFK Jr. He's got a team of people. She says to him, if you remember, she says, your whole team hates you, and then lists all the people and the insults. And what does he do? Well, they're dumb. Instead of going, who cares? Look at the people I got now. Look what I got now. I got a team of rivals right now. Didn't do that. He was not prepared. And doesn't mention Vivek. Doesn't mention anything. Mike, Sam's on my side. Sorry, Mike, that was a horrible debate. Yes, absolutely. Yes, 100%. There's in reality, you're going to see as this moves on, he was too defensive. He did not push his agenda. He was not effective. He was trying to say, I've got a better plan or something. That is not what it was. That was not. Yeah, Joel said they were disgruntled employees. Yes. Mariah says, being so defensive is just not a good look. Cringe. Agreed. I know you guys who like Trump. You're like, he won. He didn't. He just didn't. Fina says, all misogyny aside. Fina, that was very funny. That's a funny one. Yes. Harris definitely won by a landslide. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Grace, she was a hoping, but that's what Trump was in 2016, Grace. In 2016, he was about make America great again, and people bought it and they wanted it. They bought it and they ate it. This one, he didn't say that once. He wasn't about making America great again. He wasn't about that at all. And he should have been. He had 2 or 3 jobs, which I've met. If you watch the pregame show, I told you what his job should have been. He did none of them. He did none of them. He didn't make her seem as radical as she is. He did not do a good job of that. She made him look radical. The problem is, here's the issue to remember. What is this about? If you're thinking that either one of them was trying to get a supporter to change sides, they were not. That was not their goal. They weren't doing this so they can go, oh, I'm going to take some Harris supporters and bring them over. That wasn't the issue. There were 2 things that had to do here. Number 1, did you motivate your base so that more by percentage of your people will show up? Trump did not do that. Did not do that at all. He didn't talk about he didn't talk about Tulsi. He didn't talk about RFK Jr. He didn't talk about his team. He did not motivate people to do that. Did not do that. Now, did Harris do that? Yes. Harris motivated her base. They saw her fight Trump. Remember, I told you up front, you guys, everything I said, I know I'm being an ass, but I don't care. I'm still right. Even if I'm an ass, I'm still right. I told you, I said, it's got to look like, I told this actually, was it yesterday I said this? I actually said this. I said, look, what has to happen is there has to be the equivalent of her, I'm going to go beat up Trump. I'm going to fight Trump. And she fought Trump. She did. She got down and she fought Trump. And that's all Democrats want to see. They just want to see her for Trump. To be clear, Felicia, you're right. She lied. And her people don't care. That's my point. Her people don't care. This is a point that's invalid. It's an invalid point. Her people don't care. This motivated her base. They're going to say, she's a fighter. You're going to watch a bump, guaranteed. You're going to watch a bump. Mike, you're wrong on this, brother. You're not going to watch a bump after this. And it didn't motivate RFK's people. It didn't motivate Tulsi's people. The people that he brought in, a chunk of them are right here. And they're not excited. Tulsi's people, they're not excited. They're not excited. They're not excited. What they were trying to achieve, they did not achieve. And that is my point. If you're going to talk about points of logic, like who has a better plan, that's not what their debate. Me and Mike could debate that. That's just policy issues. I'm talking about the people who they're trying to move, which is their own base. And to be clear, also some people who are in the middle who weren't sure. There are some people, it's a small percentage, but in this election, that small percentage matters tremendously, right? If 1% of the people, 2% are like, I don't really pay attention. I just want to watch the debate. and see what's going on, right? That kind of stuff. Let me just see what's going on with that. Those people, they're like, oh, she's better than I thought. Yeah, she's better than I thought. Yeah. So Grace says, what will the poll say? She's going to get a bump. Look, if I'm wrong, sometimes I'm wrong. It's rare, but sometimes I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I will tell you, but I don't think so. I think you're going to see a bump from this. You're going to see a bump in this. How long will it last? I don't know, but you're going to see a bump. And you are not seeing people who he brought in jumping up and down about this. You're just not seeing it. So, yeah. Sam says, I do think Kamala messed up with her base on pals. 100%. But on this one, the people who care about that, many of them are already going to Jill Stein, right? So that's not new for her, right? I think those people, you're right, Sam, but those people are already voting Jill Stein or Cornel West. I don't think that they were going to come to her anyway. So, yes. Yeah. So, in any case, Felicia says, I'm a huge RFK Jr. supporter, and so is my husband, and we were turned off by Kamala because we knew she lied more the way than he did. And maybe I'm wrong. Look, I guess we'll find out, Felicia. I could be wrong on this. I don't think I'm wrong on this. We'll find out. Ryan says, Trump had to debate 3 people. Harris had to debate 1. Agreed. I want to be clear. 100% you are right. That's true. And if you have a decent team, that team preps you for this, or you blow them off, right? You know that you walk in and it's 3-1. And I talk about this all the time. If you look at when someone goes to court, I'm bringing this up because he's a prosecutor. When you go to court, the prosecutor's against you, the jury's against you, the judge is against you. It's 3-1 off the bat. And if you're popular, the press is against you. You have to accept that as true, right? And then go in knowing that. That's the issue, right? But the second piece, and again, I brought this up, expectations. What the Harris team did very well. And again, I want to be clear, I'm not a Harris fan, but I try to call balls and strikes to the best of my ability. What the Harris team did very well is lower expectations. If you remember, if you were listening to any of the TV shows or any of the talk, even online, they were saying, oh, it's Harris's first one. And it's Trump's been doing this 7 times. And they made the expectations low. She only did that one terrible interview. That interview she did with her dad, Waltz, was just horrible. She did one terrible interview. So people thought, oh, this is going to be easy. She's a chump. This is going to be easy, right? It's simple. And she was ready with 40 chess, and she came out hardcore. And she was much better than people expected. It wasn't even close. Every time she had to say stuff, it was 2 minutes on the nose. She missed a couple, but everything was actually on the nose. Everything was absolutely correct. Yes. Black sheep, white coat. You are smoking the same crack that Mike is smoking that knows how much alive. There is no way Trump slaughtered tonight. No way. You must be watching Fox News. They must be saying, like, making something up. It is not. Yeah, no. Yeah, even Mahima says, I'm nauseous. He had a really disappointing night, but didn't know the backstory of the 2 sides. I'd say she won it, but I'm still voting for Trump due to Robert Kennedy Jr. I get that. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Grace says, I think he won. I think she looked weak. Weak. Okay. I don't see that at all. I don't see it at all. I don't. Maybe I'm wrong. Look, I have in the past been wrong once in a while. Does happen. And if I'm wrong, I'm happy to say it. But here's what I'm going to say. A week from now, you're going to see the polls come in because they're doing polling probably right now. A week from now, you're going to see the polling come in and you're going to see she gets a bump out of this. How long will it last? I don't know. I'm not saying this. I'm not saying she's won the election. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's going to be something that lasts for a long time. Who knows? Right? Thomas says, absent an October surprise, she may be close to winning election. Well, October surprise is a big deal. You never know what it is. But I do think she did well. She will get a bump. And I'm going to give her respect because she absolutely prepared for this. It was obvious. Not a or Everything was 2 minutes. She's been prepping for probably 3 to 4 hours every day to make this work. She absolutely was able to do that. Yes. Yep. Ryan says, Kamala didn't come off as presidential. And when she didn't have an answer, she had to moderate the ballot. That's true. She looked nervous. Dude, no. If anybody looked nervous, it was Trump being angry. If anyone looked nervous, Ryan, that's not true, man. She didn't look nervous, but she was like smiling and stuff. Yes. And the moderators completely bailed her out. I completely agree. Yes. Yeah. Doreen says she feels disingenuous to me because she is. It's accurate. Someone else, I forgot who said she's, I think, was it, who said it? Said she was a good actress. Yeah, she's a prosecutor. Prosecutors put on a show. Literally, it's a show. They write out all their stuff, all those things. Kamala Bomb, when she was doing her Obama impersonations, she was trying to. She was trying to. Yes, she was trying to. Yeah. Yes. Joel says, starting out, Kamala was nervous and her voice was quivering, but she recovered because she knew she was winning. If you guys look at it again, for those of you, I don't know if you want to punish yourself, but if you decide to punish yourself, you can look at it with my commentary if you want to go back and watch this video again. If you look back at her commentary, you will see that she was not that bad. She was, and she knew when she was winning because she became very strong. She was talking back to him. She became strong. Gaming Fix says she was solid. I thought he was going to leave. She talked about leaving. Yes. She talked about leaving. Yes. Piper says Trump missed golden opportunities to bring in people on the fence. 100%, Piper. That part, he messed up terribly. He absolutely did not do that well at all. He had many times that he could have brought in people, and he did not. Yes. Roy says, clear debate's not her strength. Agreed. But she did what she needed to do, made her points, let him go off the rails. He was clearly defensive. Yes. Roy, you're right. She didn't have to be great. She had to be good enough, and he was not great. That's the issue. You're right. I'm not saying she's great. I'm not. I'm saying she did what she had to do, right? Yes. 100%. So, yeah. Hold on. Vicky says, she called him a racist in one breath, and the next breath she said, let's stop the name calling. And he did nothing. And yes. And America heard that and he did nothing. Yes, Vicky. Here's his response. This is what I was talking about. Here's a response. Hold on, I'm going one more. Adrian, she brags about Cheney's. And he does nothing. Trump was so worried about defending himself. You are both correct. Those were solid opportunities for her to strike back and hammer him. Brian says it. This was Trump's debate to lose, and he did. I'm telling you guys, you're going to see I'm right on this one. I know some of you are mad at me. I still love you. I'm telling you what I think is correct. He lost this debate. You are going to see a bump in her the next week. He had opportunities to do what he should have done. He had one goal, and his goal should have just been one thing. And that whole piece, okay, black sheep, white coat, dude, he did not ignore her BS. He doubled down on her BS. She said he did blah, blah, blah. And what he should have said is, okay, doesn't matter because were you better off 4 years ago? Were you better off 4 years ago than you are now? People go, no. So who cares what she says? That should have been his go-to he could have just said that for an hour and a half and won the debate. Just said it for an hour and a half. She said, you're a felon. But yes, but are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Do you want the felon who you can be better off with or someone else? He didn't say that. Not one time. Not one time did he say, I didn't start on the war. She did. I didn't start one war. Not one time did he say that. Yeah, black sheep, we were better off. Yes. So why didn't he just say that all day long? That is my point. That is my point. Grace says need to be the Gipper. Yes. Oh, that's right. That's how the Gipper won. He did that with Jimmy Carter. 100%. MA says missed opportunities by Trump. Unity Party, never said it. MAGA, didn't say it. Maha, didn't say it. He missed all of those opportunities. He missed all of those opportunities. He could have anytime. Hey, why didn't he talk about making America healthy again? When she was talking about these things, why didn't he say, you know what, instead of doing this, why don't we make America healthy again? You were fighting this. Didn't say it. Didn't talk about unity. Didn't talk about make America great again. None of that. Did none of those things. Ryan says, I was disappointed in Trump. He didn't repeat the Reagan 4 years quip. Yes, opportunity. Did not do it. Mahima says, I thought she was strong. I thought he's he'd swamp her, but I didn't know anything. I would say she won, sad to say. I know you guys, when, again, if you watch the pregame show, a couple of you were like, he's going to, mop the floor with her. And what did I say? I said, no, she's a prosecutor. She is going to prep every question and prep every answer and have it perfectly down. And she did. It's what I would have done with her, right? What I would have done. When they opened up the abortion thing, she hit every single point. It was like bam, 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 every point. And you might go, well, abortion doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it matters. It's emotional. And remember something. The Democratic base right now is women over 50, particularly educated women. Their base is educated women. That's the Democratic base. They vote at over 80%. Let me repeat that for you. The Democratic base is mostly, the big chunk of their base is educated women. And they voted over 80%. They weren't trying to get you if you're a Republican. They weren't trying to get you if you're a conservative. They don't care about you. Harris does not give a damn about you if you're a conservative or if you're a Republican. She does not care. You mean nothing to her. She says, she does her talk. She doesn't care. She wants to make sure her base comes out. It's about 50 million Democrats in this country registered and about 40 million Republicans registered in this country. If they vote at about 80%, they win. Just on numbers. If they do that, her goal is to get those people out. She gets those people out, they win. She does it, Republicans win. That's how that works. Now, the Republican base is becoming less educated males. They vote at maybe 50%. Yes. So if Trump can't get those guys out, he loses. I'm not the only guy who knows that. They all know this. This is how this game is played. That's why they didn't go to the middle or whatever. They didn't do that. Harris is like, yeah, I'm a warmonger. What are you going to do? Her base doesn't care. Yeah, bomb them all. Her base doesn't care. But she was talking about the things that deserve. I mentioned that word deserve. I said she has to say that word because her base loves that word. And she said that word like 4 or 5 times. I brought it up in the pregame show. And I brought it all up. I said how she'd bring up January 6th, how she'll make him a radical. She made him a radical, even though she's more radical. I know you guys think I'm crazy. All I'm saying is he had opportunities. He didn't use them. Space Coast says, not one word about Unity Coalition, healing our children. Thank you. The environment, hope for the future. Yes, guys, that right now, people watching this right now, just me, there's thousands of people I'm seeing right now who are watching this right now. Thousands. On Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all over. And the vast majority are saying that Trump lost this. Even though, Felicia, you're talking about what's true and not. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you, right? I'm saying winning a debate isn't about being correct. That's not a thing. I'm just being forward with you. It's not a thing. Winning a debate is about how it comes across. And coming across? Yes. Yeah. Pete says, how is it proper to fact check by saying, I didn't hear his sarcasm? Exactly. The moderators were so one-sided. And again, I get it. So one-sided. Moderators were so one-sided. But doesn't matter. Again, I know it sounds terrible. Look, I have been an independent candidate walking into a debate where everyone's against me. I know that. I walk in ready. You got to walk in ready. No excuse. It sucks, and that's what you're fighting. Yes. Grace says Dems are fired up over abortion, but they don't. But do they vote abortion or not? Often they do, and it's because it's a feel. Kamala's entire campaign is a vibes campaign, and it makes some of you angry. You hate that shit. It's so true. I'm just telling you, it's true. I warn people. I'm on record saying this. I said the second that they overturn Roe v. Wade, the Democrats are going to turn pro-life into anti-woman. I'm on record. I said that. That's going to happen, and that has happened. So now when people say right to choose, whatever, that comes across as, oh, you're anti-woman if you don't want to do that. So now you're anti-woman. So they don't actually vote on abortion, if that makes any sense. They vote on the feel, on the vibe of, yeah, he doesn't like women. You saw Fina say it, misogyny aside, right? That's a common thought. That's a common thought. And again, educated women in this country vote, and they vote in massive numbers. Less educated men, not so much. They got to get out there and vote. And Trump's job was getting many of them. Roy says, truth, many of the base stayed home in 2016. Yes. Yes. I'm telling you guys think, well, it's got to be about true. Nope. Well, it's got to be about turning people around. Nope. Sam's educated. Let me explain. That's a good question. How they, when they're doing polling, how they define educated is you have a bachelor's degree or higher. That is how they define educated. So yes, you're right, but I'm just telling you that's how they define it. Yes. Space says Harris's team played it well. She lied and made things up to sound good. No one on her side is going to fact check her. It was an obvious scheme. Yes, I mean, I think people are angry because what she said was bad. I don't like her policies. You think I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to have whatever Medicare for all, whatever the hell she wants. You think I want that? No. But I'm just being real. I'm being real. Why am I being real, guys? I'm being real because we have to see through this. And I'm hoping that some of you are going to decide to run one day. And maybe I'm going to run again one day. And we understand how this goddamn game is played. It's not played in a way where, well, she lied, so she loses. No one gives a shit about that. That doesn't mean anything. A huge chunk of American populace doesn't pay attention until something like this. There's a whole lot of people, I mean, literally millions of people, who the first time they actually heard Harris really speak was this. Yes, some of you who are into this are like, what? That's 100% true. Like, oh, it's only 1 million people. There's going to be like 160 million voters. Yeah, there'll probably be about 160 million Americans vote, give or take, in that area. About 160 million will probably vote. Well, the million could count if they're in the right state. That's what I'm saying. Yes. All right. Sarah says, I don't know. My instinct is that angry Trump supporters are more likely to vote. So this could be good if you want Trump to win. I think that's true. That could happen because Gaming Fix says Dems are lazy voters, though. Except their base, right? The Democratic base is more and more educated, to keep Sam happy, educated women. So, yeah, absolutely. No soundbites. Mike says, you are judging on a fire brimstone Trump, but that hasn't been his campaign this time. No, what I'm judging on is he didn't do what he was supposed to do, right? What the skill set that Trump has in general and now can jump on better than ever. The skill set he has, he knows how to motivate his base. And I would say better than almost any other, at least recently, any candidate. I mean, maybe Clinton was better, or maybe, I don't know. He was good at it, maybe. Reagan was good at it. Any recent candidate past 30 years. Obama was good, but it wasn't really his base. Obama had a new base, so I wouldn't count Obama. Your base. Trump is one of the best at moving his base. Didn't do that tonight, man. Didn't do it. Whether he wanted to be fire and brimstone or whatever. How many times did you hear, we're going to make America great again? I don't remember it once. He might have said it once, but I can't remember it. That's a problem. He might have said it once, maybe. I can't remember it. When did he say make America healthy again? Never. Didn't say it one time. When did he talk about, dealing with all the issues that we're having with our families, with our food, which is why he supposedly brought RFK Jr. on? Never. When did he bring on Tulsi, saying how he's going to have her go over to, Ukraine and fix things? Didn't bring it up once. None of that stuff. He had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, and he dropped the ball every time. He should have beaten her. He should have beaten her, and he didn't. This was his to win, and he lost it. I know some of you who like Trump are mad. I get it. It's still true. Next week, you'll find out. He dropped a whole lot of opportunities. So, yes. Love of inquiry. I was an educated Democratic woman, and I'm voting Trump because of Kennedy. Thank you, because of Kennedy. Yes, because of Kennedy. And he didn't bring up Kennedy. Think about how many people are thinking just like you, and he didn't even give him a tip to the hat. Remember, I thought he said he had Tulsi on the thing, and I told people that they didn't believe me. I told people Tulsi's not giving him anything. He's not listening to Tulsi. He's not listening to RFK. I told people this, and they're like, yeah, he is. He's got him on the team. That's propaganda. He's not doing it, and he didn't. Trump didn't listen to anybody. He didn't have a prepared opening statement. He didn't have a prepared closing statement. He didn't have any succinct answers to anything. He prepped nothing. And for any of you who've actually done debate prep, as I have many times, you literally burn into your candidate's brain 1 minute and 2 minute answers for everything. You sit back with and talk to them literally an hour a day, 2 hours a day. You burn into their skulls. When you're doing witness prepping, I mean, I don't want to tell you that, but when you prep witnesses, you make sure they can answer every question, right? And not answer too much and not give too little. Make sure you got the judge hears this. Well, you know what goes in, what the judge will accept. You know what the jury's going to hear. That's what professionals do. That's what Kamala Harris's team did. It's obvious. That is not what Trump's team did. Trump thought, and look, if you watch Trump speak at the Libertarian Party convention, if you watched him speak at the Bitcoin conference, same thing. Gets a chunk, goes on his own. This, he didn't have a chunk. He just went on his own. Yes. Grace says, the Gipper got him out. Males, vets. Yes. I agree. Yes. Mahima says, I just heard Fox invited them both for a second debate night. Of course they did. Fox knows their boy lost. They're like, go back again. Come back. He can fix it. He can fix it. Of course. Yes. Jonathan says, we can argue who won this debate, but I know who will lose the election. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. Sarah says, Harris doesn't care about the Constitution, just vibes. 100% true. Agreed. That's true. I think you're right. Yes. Pravet says, Trump has run 3 election campaigns for himself. No. Yes. Trump didn't mention the 818K jobs lie. He did on a little bit. Like, he's like, they made that up. But that should have been critical. You're right. Again, that's the job thing. Economy, immigration. That's it. Are you better off than you were? And she's radical. He did not do those 3 things. Either his team dropped the ball. This is, Mike and I did a show about him being at the National Association of Black Journalists. And I had the same comment. Mike thought he did great. And I'm like, nope, his team screwed him over. Either his team didn't listen, didn't do the right job, or he didn't listen. One of those 2. I'll say it again. He either didn't listen or his team screwed him over. This had so many opportunities. Roz says 100% Larry Sharpe right. It's true. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Alexa says that's why he made that comment about not having to come out and vote again, that they all blew out of proportion because he knows that his base aren't generally voted. Oh, I get it. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah. Video Click says Trump didn't lose his base even though he didn't do a good job tonight, but he didn't want any voters from the Democratic side. I think that's true, but my other issue is he's got to be able to motivate his people to vote. Right? That's the most important piece. Yes. Felicia says, okay, you're right. I guess I get too much about the truth, but shouldn't we all? Yes, Felicia, look, I want to be very clear. You are correct. We should. And her policies are garbage. Yes, all correct. You've seen who's won elections, haven't you? Like, you've seen who has won elections, right? The good guys don't always win. That's it. So, yes. Mike, he's got to walk his dog, but he goes, the moderators were horrendous. 100% true. No argument on that at all. They were absolutely terrible. They were 100%. Prodvet says, Trump's base is fueled by grievance. However, a lot of people are, yes, but you've got to also have the hope. And I'm telling you, in 2016, Make America Great Again Make America Great Again for the right was hope and change for the left with Obama, right? Different sides, different guys, but the concept was the same. The left thought, oh, Obama's going to give us hope and change. Oh, the right thought, oh, Trump's going to give us a great again, which is, again, hope and change. Still, this is the right answer. Yes. So, Adrian La F, he could have used his team to invalidate H. This is a fight for democracy. T, censorship and fighting ballot access. H, you insulted the military. T, Potosi on terrorist watch. Oh, got into Raz. Yes, he didn't. Yes. He didn't talk about putting Tulsi on the. Here is the issue, right? And I know that this is bad, but here is the issue. He either didn't care or wasn't ready or he wasn't ready for his team, right? Didn't do it. Absolutely. T-Bone says, Trump got drilled, sad to say. Dems are better politicians. He rambled, didn't have a single memorable moment. Yeah, he had some bad ones. No good ones. He had none. No good ones. I agree. But he had a couple little quips. A couple of quips that were kind of cute. I laughed at. He had a couple quips, but not that many. I agree. And I don't think the Dems are better politicians. I think they did their homework, man. Sometimes doing your homework and prepping pays off. And the Democrats, they did it, right? They actually did it. They literally prepped themselves. They did the job, and that's why they got it. So, yes. Gray says, I do hate that shit. You know what's like. I know. Yes. Yes. 100%. Yes. So, that's good. Let's see here. Shelley says, the moderators are always one-sided, but David Muir made the same mistake of joining the debates, the last debates. I'm not sure where you're going with that one. Yeah. Greg says they've always been playing the anti-woman card. Yeah, and it does work. Yes. Brian says, how educated are they really if they continue to vote for the duopoly? There's a big difference between being educated and being savvy or smart. They're not the same at all. Yes, at all. So, yes. All right. Doreen says, I've seen 2 polls that say Trump won the debate. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm okay. I'm telling you what I see, Doreen. I think we'll come back next week and we'll see. We'll see if I'm right. We'll be able to say that. So we'll see if I'm right. That's all I can say. So I like that. Shelley says, Trump should have responded with, did Hillary coach you? By the way, she actually did. Shelley, she did. I'm not joking. She was part of their team. Hillary was, and so was Biden. The people who had debated Trump before, both went there. Absolutely. So Mary says, as a Bobby supporter, I'm so pissed Trump walked into this so unprepared. I agree with you 150%. I'm so pissed. I mean, I got my Trumpster friend. Yes. Yes. MA says, a Kamala soundbite, turn the page was brilliant. Yes. Who doesn't want to turn the page at this thing? Yeah, at this point. Agreed. Yes. Absolutely. And she says, it's actually bizarre how bad Trump did. Bobby is on X trying to clean it up. Of course he is. Of course he is. Yes. Of course he is. 100%. Of course. Alexa says, I didn't hear a single speech from every Obama's presidency or election, no Trump or Biden presidencies or elections, not a single speech until this election. Oh, there we go. There we go. Yes, exactly right. Not everyone's there. Not everyone's paying as much attention. That's the issue. You know? So, all right. Let's see here. You guys give me so many comments. I do appreciate it. So, Grace says it's the economy, stupid. It kind of is. It is. Christina says he had so many opportunities to shred her, but she got under his skin. Trump was debating the moderators too. Christina, yes, and that's the piece I want to bring up. Right, I agree. He had a lot of opportunities. He did not take advantage of these opportunities at all, and he should have ignored the moderators, right, or attack them too. Either one, like he didn't. He was debating them. You must either dismiss them or ignore them. Like just go, stop. Why are you doing that? Oh, she gets this and I get that. That's what you're going to do? That kind of thing, right? Like my joke, I actually would have said, like if I was there and they had said what they basically said, which is the moderator basically said, so Trump, you're a terrible person. Why are you so terrible? That was question 1. Then over to Harris. Harris, you know he's bad. Can you tell me how bad you think he is? That was the question, right? In another way, obviously. But if that happens, you then go, oh, so she gets that question. I could, wow, tell me how you really feel. Like I would have done that, made light of it, almost teased them so they can go, ooh, he sees it. It puts them and makes them feel awkward. They won't want to do the bad thing anymore because they'll feel bad. But he didn't do that. He was fighting them on the actual issue like he was debating them. Like he was trying to fight them on every point versus the big picture, dismiss the entire thing. And he did not do that well. It's almost as if no one had prepped him for this. Like this is something he should have been prepped for. There are skill sets you use to deal with this. I was just telling you so. I told you if you remember, I mentioned this in the pregame show. Now the postgame show, I'm telling you, there are ways you deal with this. He was not prepared. Yes. MA says, Kamala brought up the GOP who endorsed a perfect time for DJT to bring up Bobby, Elon, Vivek, Tulsi, Shanahan. Yes. Yes, perfect timing. Did none of that. Did none of that. Peter says it was pretty enjoyable. She didn't face plant. Yep. ABC Disney's terrible. Yes. He had a few lines. Yes. Hope he sends her a MAGA hat. That was a good one. That was the one. Peter, thank you. Yes, I said there was a couple lines that was good. Trump did kill it with that MAGA hat one. That was funny. That was well done, Trump. That was a good one. He did get a good one, that one. I do think that would have been a better one. So Adrian says, you are right. It was a disaster for Trump. Yes. Let's see here. Deshia says, Trump's team and cabinet members can't always be blamed for his failures. Agreed. When you say what happened, it doesn't change the responsibility, right? When I did well in 2018, my team did far much of the work, but I get the credit for the victories or the positive parts of 2018. When I got my ass kicked in 2022, some people didn't do their job or whatever, but so what? I picked them as my responsibility. I take the responsibility for the successes of my 2018 run and for the failures of my 2022 run. They are my responsibility. No matter what, they're my responsibility. Also, you're right. But I could still say, hey, this person did well or this person screwed up. I could still say that, right? Show that there are what people did or didn't do. But no matter what, your point's valid. It's still my responsibility for both. And it's his responsibility for this. And for his victories. Both. It is always that. So Maricela Reed says he should had milk maha. Yes, he should have milk maha. Yes. Didn't bring it up once. Didn't bring it up once. 100%. It's really bad. Praved says, you are right, Mr. Sharpe is 100% correct. Turn on election. You only need to speak to your base. Blowout incoming. She could win Florida. Wow. I'm not sure about that. Wow. I'm not ready to go there, Praved. I'm not ready to go there. I'm just saying she did well in this debate. I'm not prepared to go there. I'm not ready to go there yet. I mean, maybe, but I'm not there. Yes, 100%. Pete says, no numbers, Larry, immigration, inflation, others. Agreed. They weren't that good. She had the numbers. He didn't. He was like, and it's the worst I've ever seen. And it's terrible. They've destroyed things. Millions of people. She had actual numbers. Why? She was prepared. I go back to it again. I told you in the pre-game, she beat the prepared. I know her personality type. That's how prosecutors run. She is not good off the cuff. She's not a great debater. They say that because they want to make her look good. She's not great off the cuff, but she's very good prepared. And to be forward, many prosecutors, many lawyers are, right? I mean, that's why they're lawyers. They do their homework. They check things. They research things. It's a lawyer's job. They figure out stuff. They go down to, they know the law. They know that they prep, right? What's the old saying lawyers say? Never ask a question you don't know the answer to. Well, you got to do your homework then. So you know the answer to the question. And she and her team did it. That's all I'm saying. Christine says, is it going to be another debate? Fox News will have one tomorrow if need be. If I'm Harris, I'm not doing one more. I don't know why she'd have another one debate. I wouldn't. I mean, she might, because here's the problem. She might start thinking hubris, right? Oh, I'm super cool. I'm super smart. I could beat Trump's butt anytime I want. She might start thinking that. So she might say yes to it. If I'm on her team, you done. You are done. No more. You did it. Move on. Take your win and leave. You might not get off easy next time. Trump might prepare himself next time, and it might not end so well. So, and if the Fox people saw this one, you go on Fox, they're going to be just as bad on the opposite. They're going to be just as petty. Guaranteed. Thomas says, educated or indoctrinated? It's a valid point. You guys are teasing me on that, but I'm just telling you how pollsters say it. Pollsters say it is, pollsters say educated means you have a bachelor's degree or higher. So yes. Sam says, I did laugh when Trump pulled the I'm speaking card. Honestly, didn't expect that. See, you had a couple. Thank you, Sam. It's the other one. I'm speaking was a good one. That was, and I'm going to give you a MAGA hat. Trump had a couple good ones. He did. He had a couple good ones. Absolutely. Yes. Let's see here. Alexa, one of these days, people are going to realize that you're always right, Larry. One of these days, they will. Sadly, Alexa, that day is not today. For those of you who know some of the inside baseball, a lot of this stuff that happened, I predicted back in April. Back in April. This is when it will happen. This is how it'll work. A lot of stuff happened back in April. If you remember, right after the debate, the first debate, I said, if you remember, and I'm on record, I do all this stuff live, so you can always go back and check me, right? I said, if the press is still talking about the debate, the Biden-Trump debate, the next week, Biden will drop. That's what I said. I said, right now I know what they're doing. The Democratic operatives were going through the media trying to get them to stop talking about it, right? Trying to get them to stop talking about it. And if they would have convinced the media to stop talking about it, then the media would be on their side and they'd cover up and Biden would stay. But I said, if they can't get the media to stop talking about it, Biden's out. He's done, because the media is their ally. And I mean that not like as a conspiracy. It just is. It's their ally. You can see it. We just saw it tonight. The media is their ally. So when they were still talking about the next Monday, I said, he'll be gone by next week. He was gone by next week. Everybody's like, he'll never leave. He'll never leave. I said, he has lost the media. He cannot win. Once the media begins to collapse, he cannot stay. He's gone. They're his ally, because once the media goes, the donors go. And when the donors go, you go. That's how that works. And I was right then. So yes, I predicted a lot of this stuff. But I'm not prepared to say that Harris is winning this. I'm not. I'm just saying she won this. She will have a bump in the polls coming up because of this. That is my prediction. I predict things. I am sometimes wrong. It does happen. Like every couple of years I get one wrong, but I'm predicting it. I'm saying the next set of polls, she will have a bump. That's what I'm saying. Yes. So, all righty. Brian's, I just saw on Drudge, Harris campaign was another. Oh my God, I hope that. Why would they do that? Look, good for Trump. Good for Trump, Brian. I hope that's true. I don't know why you would do that. That sounds insanely stupid. I don't know why you would do that. Yeah. Oh my God. I think her 4 slogan quotes didn't land. Her exaggerated emotional outbursts hurt her, but it basically happy as it always would have been. But her slogans were good. They were, I believe, blah, 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 blah. I believe, she did repetition right the way she was supposed to. Prepared, clear, ba-ba-bam. Her hands were her thing. Ba-ba-ba. She was exactly how it should be. Her outbursts for women's rights, dude, if you didn't see how good that was, you either don't know women very well or you're not paying attention. When she was talking about abortion, she was killing it. She was slaughtering him. She was slaughtering him. He had to come back right away and hit her with the immigration right. And he did an okay job, but because immigration is definitely his issue compared to her. I mean, it's night and day, his issue. So he did okay, but he didn't do great. He had to come back and slaughter her right back with it. And he did not. He lost that back and forth. You know, he lost that. He lost that back and forth. So yes. Jonathan says, what happens when the 70% disenfranchised vote NOTA? We have change, Jonathan. I hope that happens. We have change. I hope that happens. I hope that happens. Christine says, I hope he'll allow himself to be coached if it's another debate. He will not have a choice. If he doesn't, half his team will literally just be ready to walk out. They'll know ball game's over. Remember, there's only 1 month of paychecks left. I'm not joking. You guys, it's always about the money. There's 1 month of paychecks left, right? And if they have a contract, they'll get paid through November. So if there's a debate in October and he goes, I got this, half his team will be like, I'm out. I'm out. Thanks. All good. Yes. Minor Threat says, most bizarre moment, they're eating pets. Why did he take that bait? Minor Threat, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Roy was like laughing. He was like, he's going to take the bait. He took it. Why'd you take that bait? Talking about immigration. There are 40,000 things that migrants are crushing our country on, and you went to eating the dogs. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? He should have said how they're trashing businesses, how they're destroying neighborhoods, how people can't get jobs anymore, how they're taking away jobs, how they're squatting people's houses. I mean, but I just named 5 off the top of my head. I would have prepped him on that. If I'd have been prepping him, his immigration would have been just stab, stab, stab. Would have dropped her. Would have dropped. She'd have been just sitting there like, what am I going to do now? You're totally correct. Why the hell did she do that? Right? Why the hell did she do that? Just crazy. No, Christine Vargo, the reason why she did that, she invited people to watch a Trump rally. That could bite her ass. No. He took that bait. He took that bait. This is an inside joke for Democrats. You didn't get it because you're not a Democrat. The Democrat, I know a lot of Democrats, guys. And some of you watched, I'm sure, are Democrats. Democrats have a joke about Trump that he has a fetish for his crowd size. This is an inside joke for Democrats. She was talking directly to her base when she said that. She goes, go, they're not that big. They leave. That was to her base, and it got him all upset. Remember, like, my crowd is the best crowd. But that was right to her base. That was red meat for Democratic base. Christine, you're clearly not a Democrat, or you would have gotten that. That is an inside baseball game. That's what that was about. And it worked perfectly. Worked perfectly. Yes. Gray says, Gates said he won. Lindsey Graham says the debate team should be fired. Yes. Yes. 100%. Yes. 100%. Yes. So Space says, do you think Tulsi or RFK and Vivek going to be honest and tell Trump he didn't win? Vivek will. The other two will not. The other two will not. Vivek will. Vivek will tell him to his face. You blew that. Vivek doesn't care. He's not part of his team. Vivek, he will tell the truth. Trump actually respects Vivek. I don't know if he respects the rest of it. I have no idea if he does. He respects Vivek, but because Vivek didn't drop, will hold on, will fight his own. I'm sure he told him that. There's no doubt. Vivek said, yeah, you blew that shit. Yeah, you blew it. 100%. 100%. Yes. Ryan says she should have mentioned RFK Jr. and Tulsi. Yes. Who did Harris have? ABC. So therefore, I picked Trump to win. I'm not sure I get what you're saying there. I don't know. Mary says, is there another debate? Will it be on Fox? They want it, of course. Of course. I don't know. I don't know why Harris would agree to it. I think it's crazy that they would agree to that. Yes, it is crazy. Yes. So, Sean says, can Kennedy just slide back into the race, unhitched? I don't think so. I don't think so. Yes. Here, Thomas, thank you. Okay. You get this. You are so correct. Okay. Thomas says, your team from last time in office are against you now. Should have been responded with more than just, they're the ones I fired. He should have promoted his doom team with, I've got a much better team now. Tulsi, RFK, Vivek. Yes. Elon. Yes. That was exactly the right answer. Yes. Exactly the right answer. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Ryan says, Harris team wants another debate, though. Okay, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying that's stupid. My gut says they can change their mind. My gut says they're saying yes. That's my gut. This I'm not sure of. My gut says they're saying yes, but no. I don't know why they would say yes. Does she have that much hubris? Maybe she does. It's a terrible, she should not do it at all. Mari says, I don't think Harris doing the debate. She's like the IKEA commercial where the woman is yelling at her husband waiting in the parking lot and the car yelling, start the car. Yes, yelling stuff. Yes. And yeah, this is the issue, right? She basically caught Trump by surprise, unprepared. And she took advantage and she beat him. I don't see him being unprepared again. If I'm Trump's team, I want anything to do debate again. Even back to ABC. I don't care. I got to fix this. Prep yourself and win. If I'm Trump's team. If I'm Harris's team, there is no way I'm debating again. I'm going to take my win and go home. That's what I would do. They'll do what they want. Yes. Prophet says Trump's true weakness in his heart, he's a Democrat. Nice. That's good. I like that one. That is good. Yes, that's good. Peter says, why don't you get your boss out of bed and sign a bill to close the border? That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad. Grace says, I read she wants 2 more debates. Really? Wow. Okay, look, if she feels it, that's good. I'd go back in the basement. The basement's done her good. I'd go back to the basement if I was her. Yeah. Doreen said, I'm going to change anyone's mind one another. I'm with you on a couple things, Doreen, to be clear. Do I think all of a sudden there's 30,000 more people who are going to start, all of a sudden voting for, somebody? No, I don't. I think I agree with you on that piece. But there are some people who are either on the Tulsi, RFK, Vivek, Elon group who love that unity piece, who are very disenfranchised right now. Very disenfranchised. It doesn't mean they're going to all of a sudden vote for Harris, but it means they may stay home. They may stay home. That is my worry. They may just stay home and go, you know what? Why bother? They may stay. That's my worry. This is about turnout. Also, if the Trump people are excited they're not going to be able to do the clips and make their friends come out and do that. And I'm 100% sure. You saw how ABC was gleeful. ABC was gleeful. They were like, hee, we beat up Trump. They loved it, which means you got a whole bunch of happy Democrats right now who are telling their friends how they can win. And here's the thing that Democrats have that Republicans don't have. Democrats had Biden, and they thought they were going to lose. They thought there was no shot at all of winning. And when they had Biden, like, that's it, we lost. How do we get the Senate? How do we keep the House? What are we going to do? We're getting our ass kicked. And then all of a sudden, here comes Harris. And she's the queen of the world all of a sudden. And she's basically got a Beyonce concert. Oh my God, it's freedom and joy. And the vibes are amazing. Okay, this is good. Okay, it's good. Then she does her interview with her dad, Waltz, at the interview. And they're like, maybe this is not so good because that interview sucked. And then she does this and she beats Trump. And they're like, oh my God, we're going to win again. Yay. And they're all excited again. They were gleeful. I think you're right. It isn't like a whole bunch of people decided to all of a sudden, do that. But I think you are going to see a bump in people who were not so happy. And so you'll get a little bit of a bump. Will they keep going? I don't know. That I don't know. That I'm unsure. We'll see. Mariah says 1 month of paycheck. Yeah, because they all get fired in November if he loses. Right? So they're already set for this month, September. They'll get paid for October, and then maybe November, and then never know. So yes, unless he wins, then some of them will come aboard and become, whatever he's going to do. So yeah, remember, most of these people are just consultants, right? They're consultants. I know, I'm one of them. So yes, I know, I'm one of them. Yes. Grace says he should have skipped the eating pets. Yeah, he should have just let that go. He should just let that go. Yes, yes. Angie says Trump got to go last, and he did not give us the grand finale we were expecting because he didn't prepare for it. That's my point. He did not prepare for it. If you've ever, I don't know how many of you worked on campaigns before, but when you work in a campaign and you're doing a debate, you do prep questions back and forth, but you literally script out and practice opening and closing statements. That is literally scripted out, and you write it all out. You have it. You say it. It is scripted out. Your opening and closing statements to make sure you're covering what you got to cover at the end and the beginning. Now, will a candidate sometimes wing a piece of it? Sure, of course, but it's literally written out and practiced. I have written them. I've helped people write them. That's how it works. So yes, that's all. All right. Alexa says, right, I said earlier you couldn't say taking over people's apartment complex. Yes, I forgot about the apartment complex thing. Yes, say the apartment complex thing. There's so many things you could have said about the migrants. And you went with the dogs. Man. And then you go, and his answer is, I saw it on TV. What a boomer moment. What a boomer moment. Yes. Jared said the same thing. Trump fumbled at times. The dog thing. Yes. Called her a Marxist. Yes. Yeah. But I do think he won the debate barely. What? I don't know. Jared, no. Yeah. Brian says he did try to inject about the illegals taking over the apartment complex in Colorado. It was a weak attempt and failed. And here's the reason why. Both of you guys. Trump is strongest on the offense, not the defense. His skill set is offense. And he was on the defensive from the first time. From the beginning, he was on the defensive for the first time. From the beginning, he did not open up well. His opening statement wasn't strong. His first question he didn't respond to the first question well. The problem is they asked a question that really could have hammered Harris. They did open up with a question that could have hammered Harris. She didn't answer it. They did no follow-up. Now, instead of him at that point, if you watch the first question, him saying, wait a minute, she didn't ask the question. Of course, she screwed it all up. The economy's terrible. It's all her fault. Didn't do any of that. He defended himself. He fell for what she said and defended himself. Instead of fighting a little bit, well, this is wrong. That's wrong. This wrong. Okay, so now the people who already love you go, yeah, I guess you're right. She's a liar. But that's it. Yeah, I agree. Yep. So, yeah. Sam goes, they wouldn't need abortions if they weren't being R'd and trafficked by gang members abusing our open border and funding drug cartels. Yes. He didn't say any of that. Yes. 100%. 100%. Thomas says his squashing the border bill could have been defended if he hammered the bad parts of the bill. Yes, that also, by the way, we're adding and by the way, let's also send money to fight wars was also part of that bill. He didn't bring up any of that. You're right. Again, All those things he did not do. 100%. Clearly says Trump needs to leave his ego at home and share the limelight. That's why I said he wouldn't do it. That's not who he is. That's not who he is. You know what I'm saying? That's not who he is. That's the entire point. He's not that guy. He would not do it. Yes, absolutely. Mike says if she doesn't clear 50%, then she lost and lose the election by 6% at least. I said that's likely. She's at 47% now. Yeah, I'm not prepared to say that she's winning the election. I'm not prepared to say that. This is still very close. I think either way, this is still either way. All I'm saying is she'll get a bump from this. I don't know, Mike, if this is into the victory point. I'm not prepared to say that. This to me is way too close. It's way too close. Yes. So Christine says, did he even point out she wasn't Democratic nominated? No, Christine, no. Yes. Completely agree. Yes. So, Red Dirt Princess, I think the closing was good. That the question is, we've all been warning. No, okay. A good closing, right? If he had prepped it, he would have brought that up throughout the entire thing, right? He would have brought up the entire piece, right? As he was going down. Okay, so, and all this he's saying, but it's been 3.5 years. She hasn't done it. Why hasn't she done it? He should have brought that up 2 or 3 times during the debate. Then at the end, been repetitive on 3 or 4 things. When I was president, I did blah, 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 blah. It was better when I was president. She's been in the White House for 4 years. Why hasn't she done it? When I was president, you had this. You haven't had it with Biden. She's been there 3 years. Why hasn't she done it? Could you imagine if that was her his close? 4 or 5 things like that. Why hasn't she done it? I did so-and-so. It was better for you. Why hasn't she done it? I did so-and-so. It was better for you. Why hasn't she done it? 4 or 5 of those, slaughters her in the end. That's a prepared closing statement, which he did not have. I know you guys are mad at me for this. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make you mad. That's not my goal. I'm telling you, I had so much that he could have done, and he didn't do it. So, Straight Chillaxin says, as a fellow doomer, Trump talks about doom too much, even for me. I wish he only spoke in solutions. That's the other piece. Yes, I agreed. Christine goes, he did not debate from a position of strength. Correct. He did not. I agree. He did not. That's the issue. That is the issue. Yes. Eamon says, Larry, ABC asked about abortion before asking about world wars. How does this take priority? Good question. Absolutely. Marshall says, thank you for $2. Smash the like button like Harris smashed Trump. I actually don't care how you smash that like button, but damn you, smash that button that is like. It does matter. I know some of you are mad at me now, but even those guys who are mad at me, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I can have you upset at me. I can have you think I'm wrong, but I can't have you not trust me. I'm always going to tell you what I honestly think, how I actually see it. And if I'm wrong, I will tell you. And I was wrong once. I was wrong on how bad bail reform would be in New York State. And I tell this story because it's true. When bail reform first came out in New York State, I knew it would be bad. I did. But I said, we'll be okay because the courts simply would not allow it to be this bad, that some judges would fix it, just by ignoring different pieces, and there'll be new rulings, and we'll fix it in appellate courts. That is what I said. I was wrong. Judges did not give a damn, and it has been a disaster. Now, that was 4 years ago, but I was wrong on that one, and I say it openly. I was like, don't worry, the judges will fix it. I was 100% wrong. So it does happen sometimes, every 4 years or so. So it does. I'm not wrong this time, though, guys. I'm not. And I say it now. I say it before. If I'm wrong, I will tell you. It is. So please smash the like button anyway. Please, if you're sharing this, if you're watching on Twitter or Facebook, share this, retweet this, repost it, whatever it is. You can always subscribe to my YouTube channel or whatever. If you're on Facebook, subscribe to that too. Make sure you click when you got to click those buttons and notifications. They all matter. If you want to super chat me like Marshall did, you got to super chat me if you're watching on Larry Sharpe YouTube. So yes, thank you for that. By the way, I do appreciate it. So, all right. Felicia says, just imagine Bobby up there debating her. He's a better lawyer than she is, would have slaughtered her. Agreed. Bobby would have done far better. RFK Jr. would have done better because RFK Jr. would have talked about what we talked about. He'd have talked about health. It's about family. He would have talked about all those things, right? Harris talks about love and family, but she doesn't really care about those things. She doesn't have any policies for that. He actually does. So I really think 100%. He totally would have done better in that. Of course he would have. Yes. Manifest says, Harris talked about being loving and compassionate, yet her behavior towards Trump was not that. True. Well, again, she doesn't like Trump. She hates Trump. She does. Yes. Roy says, Larry calls it like it is, and it's not good for Trump. She held serve, and he was playing tiddlywinks for his friends. Yeah. Yeah. So Mike says, not mad at all, disagree. I know. No, Mike, I know you and I. You and I were buddies. We disagreed 1,000 times already. Mike is my brother. We're good. But some people may not feel the way you do. So I want to make sure that if I'm wrong, I will say it. And I'll come back. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. Brian said, you meant to being wrong tonight. Trump brought up race first. Yes. Yes. And Morgan called that. You're right. I was like, no way Trump brings up race first. Morgan said he would, and Morgan was right. I was writing everything down, like who said what. And I'm like, damn, I was on everything tonight except that one. I was wrong on that one. I was wrong on I did not think he'd bring up. I even said that abortion would come first from a question, all those things. The other thing I'm surprised she didn't say the I'm speaking piece. Trump said that first too. Trump got us on two. He got us on I'm speaking, and he brought up race first. That he did. But the other things I was right on all those things. Oh, it wasn't. Oh, hold on. They didn't bring up the shooting. Remember, I said I wasn't sure if they bring up shooting. They didn't bring the shooting up. They didn't bring up the shooting. They talked about guns a little bit, but they didn't bring up shooting. They did not bring that up specifically. Yes. So, Riot, thank you for the $5. I appreciate that. Do you think one of the campaigns will drop bombshell news tomorrow to overshadow the debate? That is a brilliant question. Riot's getting how this game is played. Ryan's getting, you're going to be if you're not a consultant now, you're going to be one soon. That's how the game is played. So now Trump's got to come up with some kind of thing he's going to do tomorrow, whatever that thing is, right? Oh, and now I'm going to go visit Ukraine to save the war or whatever. He's going to do something like that, right? By the way, that would be brilliant. If Trump were to go overseas and meet with some people, brilliant move. Or send Tulsi. Oh, even better, right? I mean, that would be a brilliant move, right? Send Tulsi to go talk to the whatever, Ukrainians or whatever, or the Israelis. I don't care which war you pick. Pick a war. Send Tulsi or you go, whichever. Go over this. That's a good deal. See, if we were in the same team, right? If we were in the same team, me and you be talking about this tonight, you'd be like, okay, we got our ass kicked. What are we going to do? Okay, who's going to Gaza? All right, who's going to Ukraine? Who's going to Kiev? All right, we sending Tulsi. You going? All right, let's send that. And all of a sudden, there we go. So yes, I think that definitely it's actually brilliant. Yes, that is actually brilliant. That's not a bad idea. Yeah. And NY Liberty says, we've got a lot. Just pick one. That's what I'm saying. Just send one. Just send one. It's fine. Brian says, can Trump leave the country with his impending sentencing? He can send somebody else. He can send Tulsi, RFK, Vivek. He can send whoever he wants to. He can do that. Yes. Roy says, what about Trump saying he negotiated on America's behalf while president-elect? The man doesn't believe in our constitution form of government. No, I mean, to be forward, Obama did some of that. Obama really created the office of the president-elect. That was really an Obama thing. I think you can do it. Who cares? That's great. You can do it as a private citizen now. Roy, if in theory, you can go over there and try to negotiate something if you wanted to. In theory, would they listen to you? Probably not. Would they listen to Trump? They might. Would they listen to Tulsi? They might. But to Riot's point, you'd be doing it for the press more than anything else, right? You'd be doing it for that, right? You'd be doing it to get people to forget about what happened tonight and go think about that. I think that's it. So, yeah, in any case. So, all righty. Guys, as I said, please click the button as like. It's been 4 hours. I think I'm going to stop now. I could probably go 4 more, but I'm not. Thank you guys so much for this. For those of you who watch the whole thing, when this is over, you want to come back and check it out, please do so. If you can put a comment on the bottom, it's always good. It helps for Mr. Rhythm. You know him, Al Gore Rhythm. Makes him happy. So put a comment down, click all of the buttons so we can keep going. I think I'll be on tomorrow also. I think I'm tomorrow on. Yeah, I'm recording something tomorrow, and then I will be on tomorrow. I think it's 7 o'clock tomorrow also. I'm trying to keep doing shows to the best of my ability. I will see you all very soon.